games or not. Walang sumipot na isa. Well, may sumipot na isa pero hindi siya talaga yung taong kailangan ko. Why? Nagmamalaki na kayo? What's so special about you, DICT? Kung kayo siguro ay isa sa mga top performer o top performing government agency, pwede kayo magmalaki. Pwede kayo hindi magpakita. Pwede kayo mag-snub. Pero isa kayo sa mga poor performer eh. Kung sino pa yung mga poor performer, yung pang mayayabang.
Budget briefing to order. And before we continue, let me direct the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons for thank you. And we're honored with the presence of Sen.Raffy Tulfo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we can proceed with the presentation of the DICT. So just for an orderly discussion, we'll start off with the presentation from DICT, and then its attached agencies from NTC, CICC, and then NPC. No, so we'll start off with the presentation, and then we'll open the floor for questions and further discussions. And just an opening statement. This is the first time that I will be hearing the budget of the ICT, although I've been attending the budget briefings of the ICT for the last many years, since its inception. And we're very interested in how the country is moving into the digital space, as well as addressing the digital divide in our country. The ICT was specially made to make sure that digitalization and the digital needs of our country is being addressed, especially by our constituents. So with that in mind, we'll proceed with the budget briefing. And any opening statement, Senator Tulfo?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Back in 2022 budget hearing, I was one of the staunch supporter of the ICT because I see the need for this country to have a strong anti-cybercrime group that will protect our cyberspace. Nakita ko yung importansya ng DICT at in fact pinaglaban ko pa nga yung inyong budget na madagdagan, pero it was unfortunate it didn't go through. Now, I'm really very disappointed, DICT. Ang dami niyong kapalpakan. This time, hindi ako maging supporter niyo bagkus didikdikin ko kayo. Ang dami niyong mga kalokohan, ang dami niyong kasalanan, ang dami niyong mga ginawang mga mali. At yan ay ikakalkal ko ngayong araw na ito. Nakita niyo po ito. I have a long list of things that the people should know and that you should know para makorek yung problema niyo. Isa pa, during the hearing ng Games and Amusement where DICT was informed about them being there para ibigay yung report tungkol dun sa findings nila upang malaman yung ginawa nilang pag-imbestiga, assessment ng PCSO lotto. Kung credible pa ba yung lotto games or not. Walang sumipot na isa. Well, may sumipot na isa pero hindi siya talaga yung taong kailangan ko. Why? Nagmamalaki na kayo? What's so special about you, DICT? Kung kayo siguro ay isa sa mga top performer or top performing government agency, pwede kayo magmalaki. Pwede kayo hindi magpakita. Pwede kayo mag-snub. Pero isa kayo sa mga poor performer eh. Kung sino pa yung mga poor performer, yung pang mayayabang. Why? Diba? And so, today, you will hear from me things that you wouldn't expect to hear from me back in 2022 because I was a supporter, like I said. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And as we all know, during the budget hearing, we not only discuss the budget itself, no, the details of the budget itself, but we also ask policy questions, especially questions regarding issues that are being confronted by our country. So at the proper time, Senator Tulfo, after all the presentations given by the different agencies here, we will open the floor for Q&A. All right, so we'll start off with the presentation of DICT, and then we'll move on to the other attached agencies. Thank you. And upon the request of Senator Tulfo, we'll cut the presentations for now and open the floor to for Q&A. So we'll recognize Senator Tulfo.
Yeah, may tanong ako sa CICC. Ano? On July 3, 2024, DICT Assistant Secretary Renato Paraiso confirmed the hacking of a website of DICT's Disaster Risk Reduction Management Division. Tama? Is that a correct statement? Now, it should be, right? Now, my question is, how can you claim yourself to be a cybersecurity authority kung mismong isa sa mga opisina ninyo ay nahack? Paano mo protektahan yung cybersecurity ng ibang mga government agencies natin na umaasa sa inyo kung mismong isa sa mga tanggapan nyo?
Yusek D, you're recognized. Go ahead.
Sure.
You may respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, first we would like to confirm that that website, the disaster risk management website, which is part of the many websites being maintained by DICT, has been what do you call that? There was a unauthorized access to it. We would like to reiterate, Your Honor, that the unauthorized access did not extend to the core systems of DICT. That said, we have already improved our security mechanisms. That website po kasi is really open for uploads because it is where we receive field reports, especially during the times of disaster. We understand, Your Honor, that cybersecurity is a very complex matter, and that, of course, we're transparent enough and honest enough to say that if there are some systems we need to improve on, we will do so. But we reiterate, and we will be more than happy to submit to this August chamber the report of what actually transpired. And again, let me reiterate, Your Honors, that it was an isolated system that did not. In fact, may rinan po silang scripts na hindi rin. Kumbaga, they are trying to get privilege, parang improved access through an external party. Parang privilege escalation ang tawag po namin dyan sa hacking, and they were unsuccessful. But yes, we confirm that there was unauthorized access to it.
Pero you should not use as an excuse, Yusek Uy, the fact na, Yusek D, excuse me, the fact na kayo po'y naisahan, medyo malaking kahiyaan po yun. Dapat no excuses. Dapat kayo ang authority pagdating sa cybersecurity, dapat lahat na matanggapan nyo, umpisahan nyo muna sa lahat na matanggapan nyo na hindi pwedeng mahack dapat, regardless. Yun po yung point ko dito. Now, you're proposing an amount of 300 million for your confidential expenses lodged under DICT's Office of the Secretary. May mga programa ho ba kayo para paano gastusin itong 300 million? For 2025, you're proposing an amount of 300 million para sa confidential expenses. Paano gastusin itong 300 million confidential funds na may bibigay sa inyo? Wala pa sana, pero pinopropose niya, di po ba? Kaya nga, nagpo-propose kayo ng ganitong amount, so hindi nga pumasok, pero bakit ko kayo nagpropose ng ganito? Para saan sana ito? Saan nyo sana gagamitin itong 300 million? Ano sana mga programa meron kayong nakalaan para gastusin itong confidential fund sana kung sakali man ay natuloy? Kasi hindi lang kayo basta-basta hingi ng ganitong kalaking amount kung wala kayong programa, katapat o kaakibat, tama?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may. Thank you for that question. First, we would like to reiterate that we understand that in the initial discussions of the budget, we did request for a 300 million confidential funds, Your Honor. But right now, we are no longer pursuing that particular request, and we do not. It was not included in the National Expenditure Program, which was submitted to the President and which was approved by the Cabinet. That said, Your Honor, I will be more than happy to discuss the details of that in an executive session. Basically, as a general, in general terms, the DICT also has series of information gathering activities, which leads to information, for example, of arrests of certain hackers, and certain information which will tell us proactively if a particular government agency or a critical information infrastructure has been breached.
Sa social media, rampant na ngayon yung AI. Alam niyo po yun, ano? Lalo na palapit ng eleksyon, how could you stop that? Yung paggamit ng AI para sirain ang isang tao o isang kandidato, upurihin ang isang tao o isang kandidato. And definitely these are fake news. At nagiging rampant na to, naging talamak na. At parang totoo, para sa isang ordinaryong tao, parang totoo yung nakikita nilang video. At dumadami na ito, so paano po mapatigil ito?
Thank you for that question again, Your Honor. With the permission of the Secretary, Mr. Chair, right now we have a coalition with major social media platforms. We have their back-end reporting system. We agreed on a watermarking and categorization system. Once they detect that it is an AI generated or a edited video in general, or a video that was shown without the sufficient context, pagtutulong-tulungan naming ma-detect, and they will watermark it po. They will put a label saying that either this video is out of context or maglalagay sila ng this is possibly AI generated. So that's the first thing po na ginagawa natin. Pangalawa, Your Honor, we have a lot of information materials already telling the public how to detect this. For example, there are free websites that can be used in the
No, you're not
internet.
supposed to tell the public. You're supposed to delete those videos na para hindi na makarating sa public. Yun yung point ko. You don't tell them, you do it.
Your Honor,
Kasi marami nang kumakalat ng mga fake news. I myself, biktima ko, ilang beses na ako lumapit sa inyo. Yung lumalabas na fake news doon o fake video or fake article about me. Not only about me, about Lance Gokongwei, Enrique Razon, Jessica So, Antonio Taberna, at napakarami pang personality, mga investment scam. Paulit-ulit na lang ito for more than a year, and I've been communicating with you guys and telling you na please do something about this. Not only me, but other personalities. At maraming naniniwala at maraming nag-invest doon because our names were used and you guys are not doing anything. Or what have you done? Tell me, ano mga programa meron kayo para i-stop yung ganitong klaseng scam at modus? At marami nang naluloko.
Your Honor, actually, of the reports submitted to us, which we forwarded to the social media networks, I just don't have the statistics. But there are a numerous number of URLs. Wala lang ako number ngayon, but it's more than 500.
You know what? You haven't
already.
done nothing for me as far as I'm concerned. Ako mismo, yung mga tao ko mismo ang tumawag sa Facebook. Tao ko mismo ang gumawa ng parang para ma-delete yun. Pero kayo wala kayong nagawa. Kayo may budget na para sa ganitong klaseng mga sitwasyon, sa ganitong klaseng mga problema, wala kayong nagawa. Pero yung mga tao ko may nagawa. Kumbaga, kanya-kanya kami, yung mga nabibiktima ng fake news, kami yung gumagawa ng paraan para mapadelete yun. Kayo wala. Hanggang sat-sat lang kayo eh. Hanggang programa kayo and then ask budget and then come up with this program, etc. But you're not doing anything. You're not walking the talk.
Your Honor, we apologize if there are some other items na hindi namin nagawa. But we have a record of a lot of URLs we already reported to the social media networks, most of which were blocked or removed. Others were labeled. For example, there was this report from at least one a reporter from CNN, another, on top of my head, Your Honor, kasi wala po akong statistics right now. There is a reporter from ABS-CBN, of course, several reports regarding the AI videos of the president, which we were able to request the social media platforms from being removed. We'll be more than happy to submit a report of all the URLs and of all the Facebook posts that have been either deleted or marked or categorized by the social media platforms. But Your Honor, let me also reiterate that this is also an ad hoc thing because technically we do not have a law that regulates social media platforms. Kumbaga po, sinasubmit lang din namin ito. Mas mabilis lang kasi we have a back-end system with them. But the decision to either remove it or to categorize it still remains with the social media platforms. For
I know,
example,
but you should get in touch with Facebook or YouTube,
That's- yes.
whatever social media
We do that,
platform
Your
that is. Let them know about the problem.
Yes, sir, we do that.
Currently affecting many Filipinos, many people, especially yung mga taong, mga personality na nasisira na yung kanilang mga reputasyon. Okay.
we do that, Your Honor.
All right. Now, let's move on. Sabi mo kanina, yung 300 million hindi napasok sa NEP, yung sa confidential fund. Andito, 300 million napasok sa NEP. Andito. Tama ba?
Budget po ng DICT Office of the Secretary.
Budget of the DICT Office of the Secretary. Andito. Pakita mo nga sa kanila. So, kung meron kayong ganun 300 million at na yan ay pumasok sa NEP, then you have to explain to us. I think the Filipino people have the right to know paano nyo gagastos. Mababang absorptive capacity ng DICT. Hindi nagagasta ang budget na inilaan sa inyo for 2023. 62.45%. For 2024 as of June 30, 2024, 42.92% lamang inyong utilization rates. Hingi kayo ng pondo na hindi nyo maalam kung paano yung gastusin or hindi nyo nagastos.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized.
Yeah.
2023 is about 62%. And for the first half of this year, that's about 43%, rounded off. Now, we have certain procurements that were failed, Mr. Chair. If those procurements should have been pushed through, that would have been about more than 50% for the first half of this year, Mr. Chair. But having said that, as presented by our Secretary a while ago, our budget for this year compared to last year is significantly higher. And before the end of the year, we will be hitting more than 90%, Mr. Chair.
Okay, pero historically, 2022, 2023, napakababa, 32 to 60%. So bigla kayong lulundag at maging 90%. So ano kayo, Superman?
No, Mr. Chair. But right now, if I may, our utilization rate already hit about 64%, and we have certain procurements that are already moving towards the end of this year.
I hope so. DICT received an adverse opinion from the Commission on Audit for 2023 for the misstatements on the following. Asset accounts amounting to 498 billion. 498 million. And then liabilities amounting to 86 million. And then net assets, equity accounts amounting to 585 million. Total na ito. When in fact, ang threshold lamang, ayon sa COA, ay dapat 65 million. Way above kayo doon sa threshold na sinet forth ng COA. Ang layo, 65 million set threshold lamang, umabot kayo ng 585 million. Kaya napaka laking adverse opinion binigay sa inyo ng Commission Audit. Ang pinaka mataas na adverse opinion given to any agency in the history of government agencies for that matter. Alam niyo po yun?
If I may be recognized. With respect to the adverse opinion, supposedly from the COA, right now it's still being reconciled and the report is not yet final. Now, if I may clarify with respect to the adverse opinion, the source of that pertains to the prior year balances. In fact, for the past 2 years that for the current administration, we don't have any notice of disallowances. And what is also contributory to that, Mr. Chair, is the fact that the beginning balances stems from the different organizations which led to the establishment of the ICT. In fact, there were about 6 offices of the government, and some of the balances were transferred from this previous departments. And in addition to that, Mr. Chair, what also led to that is the fact that there were a lot of changes in the administration with respect to the ICT during the past administration.
So, hugas kamay kayo. But anyway, listen to this. Sa 2023 COA report, 3 years na hindi nag-submit ng financial statements ang DICT. 2020, 2021, 2022. Ang recommendation ng COA, suspension of salary of officials, employees responsible. Bakit hanggang ngayon hindi nyo po nagagawa?
Mr. Chair, for 2023, we have already submitted the financial statements, but
Have
it's
you?
already late. Yes, sir.
Oh, when was it submitted?
I believe late last year, Mr. Chair.
Late last year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope so. And I need to see a report of that na nasubmit nyo na po sa COA yan. Na-clear na po kayo ng COA.
We will submit, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
How about yung 790 million pesos na pinasusoli sa inyo ng COA? Notice of disallowance, disapproval of transaction either in whole or in part for being illegal, irregular, unnecessary, excessive, extravagant, or unconscionable expenditure. 792 million. Naisoli na po ba ito? At pakipaliwanag ba? Ano po ito yung mga tinatawag na illegal, irregular, excessive, extravagant?
Mr. Chair, I will check our records, but for the past 2 years,
2023 COA report to
yes, sir. That is actually an accumulated balance from the prior years. Yung sa 790 million.
Kaya nga po, ito ba na-explain nyo sa COA, na-clear na ba kayo ng COA at nasoli nyo na ba sa COA? At gusto ko lang po malaman, ano-ano po do dito yung sinasabi nilang excessive, extravagant at illegal? Sample lang po itong illegal, extravagant, excessive. Ano po yun? Para may depensa yung sarili nyo.
Mr. Chair, we will submit our report on that. Currently, we are coordinating
Pero
with
dapat
COA.
meron na kayong ready ngayon, ma-explain nyo sa amin ngayon. Kasi ito yung budget kaya nyo pa-submit. Mabagal kayo ano ko nga sa inyo, integrity ng PCS o lotto, umabot kayo 1 taon para lamang pang ilang linggo lang yung inassess nyo. Inabot kayo 1 taon bago bumalik sa akin. So this one, we need it now. Ano itong tinatawag na illegal, irregular, unnecessary, excessive, extravagant na expenditure? Unconscionable expenditure, 792 million.
We will submit ASAP, Mr. Chair.
Can you answer the question because we want to put that on record? It's a valid question and this is a budget hearing.
Yes,
So we need to exactly know the details of that report, and COA is we use COA's report to propound questions and to seek clarification. So
There's a COA member here,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
I think we have.
Nandito ba yung COA?
yes, we have a COA personnel.
COA, pwede paki-explain, sir?
Good
Ano ito?
afternoon, Mr. Chair. Can I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Sir,
Mr. Chair, that notice disallowance pertains to previous administrations,
Okay.
and it's now under appeal at the commission.
Pero pwede malaman kung ano yung tinatawag na illegal, irregular, unnecessary, excessive. Para dapat masampa ng kaso, ang dapat sampa ng kaso regardless kung previous or present administration we're talking about.
May I ask permission of Attorney City to discuss it, the details? Attorney City. Can we recognize Attorney City, the audit team leader of the DICT?
Yes. Magbigay lang po kayo ng mga examples para malaman po ng taong bayan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am Attorney City Dimao, the audit team leader of the DICT po. As to what constitute an illegal, irregular, unconscionable, and extravagant expenses, for the illegal po, if there is a very glaring violation of the law, then it is considered illegal.
Ano po halimbawa can
For
you?
example po,
Okay, sir.
kunwari po, there should be a public bidding, but then wala pong bidding na nangyari, then it is considered illegal for being not compliant or in violation of the RA 9184 that require that all procurement must be undertaken through public bidding.
Okay, so this happened during the previous administration. So, at iniingi nyo na isoli itong 792 million. So, nasoli na ho ba? At ito pong mga taong responsible, nasampa na ho ba ng kaso, nasampa ng kaso sa ombudsman?
Your Honor, those notice of disallowances issued is an accumulation of various transactions, which either illegal, irregular, unconscionable, or extravagant. These are all pending appeal with the Commission on Audit, Commission Secretariat, or in the central office po.
Oo
So,
nga, opo, pero after na nakita niyo po na ito nga po yung problema at siniling nyo na isoli ang 792, from previous administration po ito. So ano pong guarantee na may susoli pa po itong 792 million? Ano pong klase mga programa meron kayo in place to ensure na these monies will be returned?
Your Honor, under the revised rules of procedure of the Commission on Audit, right after the disallowance is being appealed, then the Commission on Audit will issue the decision on whether final na po, on whether irregular po talaga siya or illegal. Then the Commission on Audit, after issuance of the decision, will issue the notice of finality of decision and COA order of execution requiring
Okay,
po na
so when would
ibalik.
be the finality report be issued, ma'am?
The decision will also provide, sir, in some instances na the
When, ma'am?
transaction is being forwarded to the Office of the
Ma'am, sige,
Ombudsman.
after all this investigation, thorough investigation that you will be conducting, my question is, kailan po in finality na lalabas po kayo ng result na talagang, yes, kailangan isoli yung 792, yes, may nagkasala rito, yes, si ganito ang kagagawa niyan, si ganon, si ganito, si Poncio Pilato, si Maria, si Jose. Kailan po namin malaman yan para masampahan po ng kaso, ang dapat sampahan ng kaso. Kasi napakalaking pera po ito, 500 million, more than 500 million pesos.
You are right po, Your Honor. Ang requirement mo under the revised rules of procedure natin sa COA is the cashier or the accountant and the head of the agency will file under PD 1445 will file a civil litigation or a civil case against the person liable to return the money. At the same time po, the COA in its decision will forward the decision to the Office of the Ombudsman if there is a
Okay, they
criminal
filed an appeal,
liability.
ma'am, right? Nag-appeal po yun?
Yes po.
And then, from the time that you received their appeal, ilang araw, linggo o buwan ang bibilangin hanggang sa kayo po'y makapaglabas ng inyong pong final decision?
The Commission Secretariat has the discretion po.
So pwedeng sabihin 6 years, 10 years, 50 years?
No sir, may period po.
Kaya nga, ilang nga po, gaano kahaba yung period na yun are we talking about? Dapat meron kayong nakaset na date o timeline o timetable. Hindi
yes
pwedeng discretion lang ng isang tao. Paano kung isang tao inakurap, nabayaran, nasuhulan? Pwede niya patulugin lang yung kaso hanggang sa forever.
Your
Hanggang
Honor, po.
walang
Your
hanggan.
Honor po, meron pong period within which the COA will issue
Well, then
the
dapat,
audit
can you tell
decision.
us how the period? Gaano katagal?
But the period po when to file the civil case against the person liable, yun po yung parang...
Yun nga, ma'am, dapat sabihin niyo po sa amin yung period from the time na nag-file sila ng appeal up to the time na you can come up with your decision after a thorough investigation, etc. Kailan malalaman lahat na ang sa gayon, malaman ng taong bayan, yes, meron talaga dito nagloko, yes, kailangan talaga may masampa ng kaso, yes, itong mga taong ito kailangan talagang managot. Yun po yung ibig ko sabihin. Hindi tayo puro sat-sat lang and then hanggang sa dumating na 5 administrations later, hindi pa rin sila sampa ng kaso hanggang sa ito po yung natulog lang sa pansitan, natabunan na lang po. Yun po yung point ko. Dapat bilisan niyo po at mag-set kayo ng timetable kung hanggang kailan matapos po yung investigation nyo. Para yung mga tao ay mag-expect.
of notice of disallowance, the liable person is given at least 6 months to
6 months.
respond to the notice of disallowance. Pag hindi pa po nakapag-reply, then that's the time po na that the decision will be issued.
Okay. Have they replied already? Di ba nag-issue kayo ng nag-appeal sila. And then from after nag-appeal sila, meron kayo pinadalang document sa kanila for them to reply?
Yes po.
And then-
We issued the decision to the liable person.
Okay.
Then
When was it issued, ma'am? When was it issued?
for each notice of disallowance for regarding sa 7 million.
Opo.
I don't have here the data
Okay,
po
have they
pa
replied?
isa-isa, sir.
So ganito lang, ma'am. Bilisan po natin. Gusto ko malaman kung ano na nangyari dun sa kanilang reply, paano nyo po pre-process yung reply nila, paano po ninyo inaksyonan, at kailan po natin malaman ng taong bayan, sino-sino itong mga tao na nagkasala na nagwaldas ng pera ng taong bayan. Ano po yung point dito, ma'am?
Your Honor, we will provide you the report and when was the decision was issued to the determined liable person po.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Dalawa na lang po. In 2023, 18 contracts were awarded amounting to 1.679 billion. According to the COA report, 942 locations out of 3,456 locations were not activated. Anyari po dito sa 942 locations. Meron pong budget na release 1.6 billion something para sa 3,456 locations. Free wifi po ito para sa Free Internet Access for All Act, RA number 10929. DICT is mandated to provide free access to internet service in public places throughout the country. So yun na nga po, 2023, 18 contracts awarded amounting to 1.679 million to COA. According to COA, 942 locations out of 3,456 locations were not activated. Hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin po. Free wifi doon sa mga locations na yon. Ano po nangyari?
Yeah, Your Honor, I think without going through the details, kasi wala po akong detalye, but I remember that most of these contracts awarded where they failed to activate the sites, meron po silang liquidated damages. There are some contracts where the liquidated damages were really up to parang 8%, 9%. There were also SLA violations pag nagpe-fail silang mag-activate, Your Honor. We can give a list, but we are confident that of these reports that they failed to activate, may mga liquidated damage po yan, Your Honor. And after that, kung after the maintenance report, kasi for example, Your Honor, I think about the last a few weeks ago, may pinirmahan po ako, nasa 10% yung kanilang hindi na liquidated damage. Ano na yun? SLA, for failure to SLA, binawasan natin ng 10% yung kanilang monthly
So kailan mapufulfill yung para magkaroon na rin po ng Wi-Fi itong 942 locations free Wi-Fi? When will it happen?
Let me check, Your Honor. I'm not sure kung, kasi baka nung chinek po ng 2023, it was under implementation. Baka po ngayon meron na. Kasi yung liquidated damages are usually during implementation.
So are you sure it's at 100% out of the 3,456 locations na supposed to be magkaroon ng free Wi-Fi? Ilang porsyento na ang na-achieve? Ilan? O meron pa bang mga locations na hindi pa na nabibigyan
the
free
reason,
Wi-Fi?
and my apologies, Your Honor, if kasi kaya ako nahihirapan sumagot po kasi every single month that we pay a particular contractor po, pag minonitor po ng aming network operations center na may isa o dalawang araw na si barangay na ganito nagda-down, talagang kinakaltas po natin sa pagbabayad yan. So I'm sure, ang sure lang po ako of the many reports that I sign, is that I don't think it's 948 po ngayon.
Pero dapat you should have that figures by now. Alam niyo, budget hearing po ngayon. So ilan na po out of the 3,000? So dati 946. So ilan ang nabawas dito sa 946? Exact figure, please.
Right now, we have 13,461 access points that are activated.
Okay. Hindi, pag-usapan natin yung 946, yung sa COA report. Ilan po na ibawas dito? COA report po ito eh. Sorry, 942, sorry. 942 locations. Ilan po nabawas dito? Dapat meron kayong numero nito eh, kasi budget hearing po ito eh.
Sir, well, I'll just check with my, Your Honor, my technical staff are just collating the figures. We apologize, it's a 2023 audit.
Follow-up question. Sige, while you're researching on that question. June 2024, 288 million Philippine Digital Infrastructure Project to expand Wi-Fi coverage was approved. Laking pera to. 700 new free Wi-Fi sites. Ano pong timeline nyo rito?
Your Honor, my apologies. No, bigla ko in-approach ng technical staff ko when you were asking the question. I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Hindi,
the
para
first time.
pinagsabay-sabay ko, para dalawang question lang, then
Opo.
I'll be out of here. 288 million.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
288 million pesos allocated para sa Philippine Digital Infra Project to expand Wi-Fi coverage.
I think the 288 million US dollars is a World Bank loan, the Philippine Digital
US dollar,
Infrastructure
yes.
Project,
Yeah.
Your Honor, yes.
Kaya nga, ano pong timeline nyo rito?
The timeline is in 2028, Your Honor. It includes the completion of submarine cables in Visayas to complete the national fiber backbone and to reach Mindanao. It also includes ilang Wi-Fi sites in Mindanao? More than 700 free Wi-Fi sites, mostly in the Mindanao area where the internet penetration rate is below 17%, Your Honor.
Kulang kayo sa information dissemination. Again, according to COA, hindi kayo nagko-concentrate sa pagpo-post ng signages para sa Wi-Fi program sa mga state universities, colleges. Nag-inspect at nagtanong ang mga estudyante ang COA. Marami sa mga estudyante, they're not aware na meron palang free Wi-Fi access. COA mismo ang gumawa ng inspection sa mga universities. Hindi nga alam ng mga estudyante na meron palang ganitong klaseng programa ang gobyerno. So,
Thank you.
how can they use and access this program when they were not informed and they're not properly informed?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think that is a 2023 COA audit report, and we are confident to say that we've already rectified that as of approximately March or April this year. Naglagay na po kami ng signages. In
So-
fact, as part of the COA report, there is also the changing of our landing page, Your Honor. So all of this were already rectified.
So, na-rectify na itong problema. So, properly informed na lahat ng mga estudyante sa lahat ng mga universities kung
Yes.
paano gumamit, mag-access sa free Wi-Fi.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, isa na lang. Let's talk about Pogo. Marami mga na-scam. Marami na bibiktima itong Pogo. Hanggang ngayon, meron pa rin. In fact, binihisan lang ng bagong pangalan itong Pogo at marami pa rin naluloko. This time, maging mga Pilipino na. Dati-rati, mga foreigners lang. Mga players sa China. Now, nagagamit yung mga Pilipino para manloko at maloko na rin. Ano pong plano nyo rito?
Mr. Chair, can I be recognized?
Yeah, go ahead, you said Ramos.
As early as 2022, we've been establishing strategies on how to detect the proliferation of tech scams. Slowly, we were inching our targets by providing leads to the law enforcement, considering that we are not a frontliner. But we have acquired OSINT, different technologies for geolocation of this illegal sites that are spamming our citizenry. And I believe we have been very successful in the operations on this matter because we have dismantled a big chunk of this.
Okay, if you have dismantled, Sir Yusek Ramos, bigyan nyo kami ng listahan ng mga sites na na-dismantle nyo o napahuli ninyo o nakasuhan po ninyo.
Yes, sir. I
Meron
will
po ba?
provide.
Ilan po?
So far, we have 16 that we have provided to law enforcement agencies.
And
Because
because of your effort,
yes,
meron po napasara.
yes, sir.
Pwede hong makikita yung mga numerong yon at yung mga taong at ano po nangyari sa kanila. Aside from dismantling their operations, what I really need is nakasuhan ba sila? Kasi madali mag-dismantle pagkatapos patatakasin na makakatakas na yung mga POGO operators. Ang gusto ko dapat, hindi nakatakas at nakasuhan.
That is true, Your Honor. Well, I'm proud to say that the one of the only effort wherein there is an actual conviction is a case that we operated with the Philippine National Police. It's the first conviction that was 2 months ago, a month ago, I mean. And because all of these cases are pending with the Department of Justice, but one of the cases we had in Iloilo, it was successfully, there was a successful conviction.
Alam niyo po, na sinasabi nga wala ng Pogo, sinasabi ito ng Pagcor, pero meron pa rin pong Pogo, binihisan lang po ng bagong pangalan. So better watch out for it. Watch for their operations. Kasi ang sinasabi, sila ay parang BPO lamang, nagpo-process lamang ng mga taya, pero wag ka, Pogo pa rin sila. So that is something that you have to focus your attention to.
That's right, Your Honor. In fact, we have developed a preemptive capability. We are preempting because it's the bare months already. There is a transition of modus operandi of these operators. In fact, when the Bureau of Immigration mentioned that 3,000 have left the country and we have over 100,000 who came in, we're still finding ways. Where are the others? And we are collaborating in these efforts with the Bureau of Immigration.
National Security Council warns of foreign interference in 2025 elections. Ito na yung nasabi kanina, hacking and misinformation, fake news. So, ano po yung programa meron kayo para mabawasan itong dangers of hacking, especially sa electoral database?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, even before, as early as 2020, January 2023, we've been collaborating with the COMELEC as to strategies on how to address deepfakes and AI, because it's going to be a challenging effort considering that in the last Interpol conference held here in Manila, they have shared with us the best practices all over the country because there's no perfect solution in the meantime. As far as the CICs is concerned, we were able to acquire certain tools that would allow us to tread into the virtual world, gathering all of this content. Because what COMELEC wants to count, they want to regulate the number of exposures and to find out if these are coming from directly from the candidates or not. We have specific tools for that at the moment.
Okay, and very last na, Mr. Chair. Concern talaga ako dito sa paggamit ng AI para magpakalat ng fake news, yung mukha ng tao at pati pagbukas ng bibig, pagsalita, parang siya talaga, parang totoo talaga and all. And dumadami na eh. Do you have a program on how to stop that? Lalo na yung election.
Yes, Your
Ang
Honor.
dami na yan. Ako, dami ko ng beses nakikita sa TikTok.
That is
Sumasaya.
correct.
And then, meron yung nagsasalita na akala mo yung nagsasalita, talagang totoong sinasabi niya, talagang mukha niya, pati yung pagbukas ng bibig, boses niya and all, yung pala fake news. So, how would you attack that kind of a problem
Okay.
that is now rampant sa ating social media?
As far as what we are doing at the present, because the lack of regulation on AI here in the country, we are adopting certain standards on identifying what is real and what is not. And in fact, we have collaborated with the academe to do a study on developing tools as well as policies on AI. I think this was recently approved with DOST and NDC. We have 6 research studies on this because
that means-
it
that
has to
means-
be
Okay.
for future use because the current tools that we have are what is available in the market.
And then what is this kind of tool that you're using or tools para ma-identify kung fake news ka, yung isang fake news using AI? And you're talking to experts, you say?
That's correct.
And who are these people you're talking to, sir?
Pardon, sir?
Who are these people you're talking to?
These are the academe. In the last Interpol conference,
Yeah, they're academic, but I mean, are they experts in when it comes to AI?
programming experts, yes.
So they have programming experience and are they been tested na talagang alam nila para mag-identify na hindi. Kasi ang concern ko, sir, dumarami ng dumarami. At God forbids na baka magkakaroon ng kunting kaguluhan kung papabayaan natin to na dumadami yung AI. One of these days, meron dyan magsasalita na parang nag-iinganyo ng gumawa ng insurrection or something and then maniniwala sila dahil parang totoo talaga yung nagbibigay ng mensahe, nag-uudyok sa mga tao na gumawa ng something or nag-expose ng something when in fact that something is fake news. And maraming maniniwala dahil yung mukha ng tao, siya talaga yon, o mukha ng mga tao, sila talaga yon, at yung boses at mukha, that is dangerous. You admit to me that, sir, right?
That's
You
correct.
agree?
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
Yun, dapat mag-focus kayo dyan. Do something about it quick.
In fact, Your Honor, just a week ago, in our command conference in CICC, together with concurrence also with our partners in law enforcement, NBI and ACG, we said that after these findings, that there will be three major tools, three general tools that have to be an area of focus. One is cryptocurrency. The other one is ransomware. The other one is AI and deepfakes. These are general categories, but there are numerous tools being utilized for this purpose. All crimes are related, utilizing any of these three major tools. That's why after collapsing, we are actually developing a field of expertise in this by continuous training. As early as August, the training program is ongoing for CICC personnel and our partner agencies to enhance our understanding and capability in addressing these issues.
And lastly, Secretary Ivan Jan Uy, next time, kapag may mga hearing at nabigyan kayo ng proper notice to attend, magpa-attend ka naman ng tao. Huwag naman yung para ka ng isnab. Para naman kayong napakataas tingin nyo sa sarili ninyo. At nag-antay yung hearing, and that was a very important hearing because we were talking about the integrity of the PCSO Lotto na marami ng tao nagka-question at kung ano pang mga problema ang ini-issue, binabato about PCSO. At kayo lang po makakasagot doon sa DICT kung meron pa bang integridad ang Lotto at walang umaten sa inyo. Ang pina-attend nyo, walang kinalaman doon sa hearing. At in-snap niyo yung hearing na yun. Parang napaka-yabang nyo naman, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, the Secretary.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to apologize to Senator Raffy Tulfo. We fully recognize that he's been a very strong supporter of the ICT, and there was really no intention on the part of the ICT to snub. When the invitation was received, it was immediately assigned to one of the assistant secretaries to attend. And internally, there was a confirmation from him that he will attend the hearing, no? Considering the importance that the hearing was trying to establish in that during that occasion. So we've already asked. I've asked that official who confirmed to explain why he was unable to attend that important hearing, because from internally we actually got confirmation that he was supposed to attend. So
Hindi po siya naka-attend. Nasa malalamig na lugar po ba siya? Okay, iniintay namin dito eh. Sabi parating. Hintay kami ng hintay hanggang sa natapos yung hearing, just dumating.
Opo. So we are going to make remedial measures po. Next time po, with your invitation, we will ensure that we will have people who will be relevant to your inquiry and who can answer your questions to attend your hearing.
Kasi sa hearing na po yun, very important yung DICT dahil kayo po ang magsasabi kung maasahan pa ba, mapagkatiwalaan pa ba yung PCSO Lotto. Yun lang po yun para ma-explain sa taong bayan based dun sa ginawa yung assessment sa PCSO Lotto system. Wala kayo, hindi kayo sumipot. So, yun na yung reason why we had that hearing para mag-report ang DICT to tell us, trabaho ng DICT to tell everybody kung ano ba talaga ang katayuan ng PCSO Lotto Games. At hindi kayo sumipot, kayo ang pinaka-starring doon, kayo ang pinaka-bida doon. At tapos yung ASEC na in-assign mo, nagliwalyo lang kung saan pumunta. For all we know, baka nasa motel, whatever. Diba?
Yes,
I've been waiting and waiting eh.
I again, Senator Tulfo,
Next time, don't do that, sir.
I apologize for that on behalf of the
In
department.
fact, you should have, pwede ka naman sana umaten. Sa mga hearings, umatin yung mga secretary.
Mhm.
Bakit ikaw? Kung hindi siya maka-attend, why not you?
We'll put in the proper procedure
Yung
po.
mga ibang secretary sa iba't ibang mga department nag-attend eh.
Opo.
DSWD, DILG, nag-attend. DNR, Agriculture, pag
Yes.
in-invite. Pero ikaw hindi ka umattend, parang what's so special about you, sir?
Nothing, Mr. Senator. Actually, we were just looking at what is the particular topic so that the person who's actually doing that investigation or that inquiry is the one, so that the correct information.
Yun
and
lang, sir,
accurate-
kaso walang dumating. Yun lang po
Opo.
yun, sir.
So I
Very important
apologize.
DICT.
I apologize again, Mr. Senator.
Yes, sir.
And that will not happen again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and see you soon, Senator Tulfo. Let's continue with the presentation. We'll call on NTC for their presentation. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I'll go to some questions on the budget. I'll start off with DICT, and this was already propounded by Senator Tulfo earlier. I'll just show it on the slide, no? On slide 5. This is on the budget utilization. And looking at the historical budget utilization of the ICT, seems to me that it's having problems spending money. No, if you see the obligation rate, it has barely breached 50%. 2023 it reached 58%, but the disbursement rate again, no, barely reached 50% as well. And I heard earlier from the presentation of the good secretary that the target for this year will reach for budget utilization will reach 90%. No, that's a target. But historically, this has been the problem. I would like to know what is the problem. No, how come historically DICT seems to have problems using its budget, even though the budget is, vis-a-vis other departments or the entire bureaucracy, it's not as big, but it seems to me that it's having problems spending its budget. No, so I want to analyze what seems to be the problem. And the next question is, you're optimistic that you will hit 90% this year. So obviously you've identified the problem. So what reforms have you undertaken this year in order to reach that 90%?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, if you will take note, last year when we presented to this August body, our BUR mid-June, that's about 6% only. This budget for last year pertains to the budget that was approved before our term, in which case the prior year budget is already 32%, which means that the prior admin was not able to spend or use the budget. So that the budget of last year is actually a combination of a huge budget from the prior year and the current year. Now, what we were able to do is that for a period of 6 months, we were able to hit 60% budget utilization rate. That will show, Mr. Chair, the efficiency that we were able to put in, considering the fact that there are a lot of problems during that time. And this is not an excuse, but it's something that really made things hard for us. Like, for example, the condition of the books of the department. There are several issues with respect to the projects that were initially conceptualized by the previous admin. There were transfers made to other agencies, which we canceled actually. So these things brought to the realization on our end that we have to recreate or make a new plan for the entire DICT. So that by the end of last year, our BUR hit already 60%. Now, as I mentioned a while ago, Mr. Chair, our utilization rate as of June last year is 6%. Today or this year, it's already 43%, Mr. Chair. And that's the official figure, actually together with the DBM, that's 43%. Now, as of September, it's already 64%, Mr. Chair. And we are very confident to hit more than 90% because there are certain procurements right now which are already under evaluation or post-qua evaluation, in which case this will affect significantly the BUR going towards the end of this year. In addition to that, Mr. Chair, there were several reorganizations made late last year, and this significantly affected how we do things within the organization in a positive way. And in addition to that, we actually acknowledge the capacity and the capability of our regions. Before, Mr. Chair, the funds downloaded or budget downloaded to the regions, effectively, it's only about less than 10%. During this administration, we increase it, and our policy is actually to download at least 30% of all the funds from the central office to the regions so that we can empower the regions and make several projects along the way.
Just to put it simply, what are the top 3 problems that you identified that led to this poor budget utilization? Just to put it simply, what you mentioned earlier, you inherited some projects from the previous administration. Just to put into the records, what are the top 3 problems that hindered full utilization of the budget?
Mr. Chair, if I may, first is manpower. As mentioned a while ago, we have been changing manpower year on year, and the problem with the past administration is that there are 4 changes in the head of the ICT, so that there are a lot of discontinuity in the projects of the previous admin, which affected our first year, Mr. Chair. The second is the capacitating our manpower. In fact, we also asked the help of US8 and Beacon to capacitate our people with respect to procurement side so that we can be able to effectively deliver on the procurement side. Third, Mr. Chair, is, as I've mentioned, the condition of the books of the company, and at the same time, the projects previously conceptualized. So that what actually happened, Mr. Chair, is that majority of the projects that we have made last year are actually new projects coming from the present administration because we canceled the old projects conceptualized by them.
Okay. So some of the projects that were conceptualized did not materialize. You canceled it. Therefore, you didn't use the budget. To put it simply, that's
correct,
results.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. And what are the reforms? So give me your top 3 reforms that you have undertaken in order to fully utilize the budget, because this is I'm very sure some of the centers will probably ask this. No, this is
Yes.
This is a gauge on this. I'm sure the secretary knows this. This is the normal gauge during the budget deliberations.
If I may qualify it in terms of first, Mr. Chair, we increased the number of BAC for the department. Second is that putting the right people on the proper positions. And we reorganize the organization in such a way that we can be able to deliver based on our experience that is not so good during the first half of that year. Because we know already who are the people who are performing and who are the people who are not performing. So that's the 2 most for me. And the third is actually the actual capacitating of our people to deliver the projects that we need to deliver.
You're optimistic that by the end of the year you reach 90% in terms of disbursement and obligation in disbursement.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we can be able to hit 90% budget utilization rate.
All right. We'll take note of that. I have some questions in the budget, and I saw. Let me just flash on the screen. Slide 13. I saw in your budget, that there's a dramatic increase in communications, subscription, professional. I guess this is professional fees and rent, from the previous years. Let's go one by one, especially on subscription. What do you subscribe?
Your Honor,
Yeah,
if I
go
may.
ahead.
Just to help out our administration, because I'm also in charge of a majority of the operations. One of the key reforms we did in order to increase our budget utilization rate is to move away from implementation to subscription models, especially for the free Wi-Fi project, which is one of the largest chunk of the budget. For short, Your Honor, instead of bidding it anew, which will require another 45 days of processing, plus meron ka na namang implementation time for 1 or 2 months. What we did is we just renewed most of our free Wi-Fi projects awarded last year. Kaya yung subscriptions po, what I'm trying to say is that the majority of what we have been doing, we renewed as subscriptions.
So this 1.9 billion in the 2025 NEP, this will go all to the free Wi-Fi project. Tama?
Sir, well, I don't have the exact figures, but we're just saying-
Majority. will
Majority,
go.
yes.
And when you and obviously it's a department subscribing, no? Tama? So it's now delivered as it's now delivered as a service. Is that the new model?
It's a yes, Your Honor. So it's
So
a
instead of-
subscription from telcos.
Subscription from telco. So you subscribe bandwidth.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So instead of the ICT putting the actual structure, the actual hardware, the ICT subscribes bandwidth from the telcos. Is that correct? Is that the model that we are now
Right
embarking?
now, for the free Wi-Fi, the answer is yes, Your Honor.
Okay, okay.
A majority of which.
Okay, I do agree that may nakita kasi ako dito eh. No? Actually, I want to ask tong free Wi-Fi. But in the DICT, paki-flash nga to sa ComSec, DICT presentation, yung connectivity. No? I was going to ask this later, but since we're in the topic na, free Wi-Fi, Hazel, ito, this picture. I haven't seen how free Wi-Fi is being installed in the country. I don't know if Valenzuela has free Wi-Fi from the ICT. But is this a model, or is this the hardware being installed?
So, Your Honor, a majority of that 13,462 is subscription based.
But this one, this is the actual Wi-Fi hardware.
No, the hardware, Your Honor,
Yan, yung picture niyan.
I don't think that's an IP radio. So ano lang po yan, just for my
okay.
apologies, Your Honor. That's if the picture is
Inaloko
misleading.
mo yata kami, Yusek eh. No? What, this is not the Wi-Fi. What is this?
That looks like an IP radio or a masyadong maliit for microwave. Ano? So that's an IP radio.
Dapat sesantehin yung gumawa nitong PowerPoint. No? Free Wi-Fi tapos IP radio yung naka-ano. Is that
But
misrepresentation of the project?
But Your Honor, there are some areas that we do install IP radios just so we can get the Wi-Fi access.
Okay. No, I was going to say that. Well, first of all, no, I was going to say that it looks quite flimsy. No, if this is the Wi-Fi, baka lipa rin tong Wi-Fi installation. But I guess this is not the actual installation. No.
I'm not sure about the circumstances, Your Honor. It could be that ginagawa pa lang. hindi pa siya talaga.
But this is not the Wi-Fi that you install in
No,
schools, in public places.
no,
Okay,
Your
okay. Then we'll scrap that. Okay, we'll go back to slide 13. So we're now moving away from installing hardware to subscribing for free Wi-Fi. It's a subscription engagement now.
So let me qualify, Your Honor. I was merely explaining that in order to increase our bandwidth utilization, it has to be project ready. And right now, ang pinaka-project ready is to subscribe. However, as of this year, na-launch na po yung phase 1 ng National Fiber Backbone, which extends from Aurora to Metro Manila, and then meron din siyang parang triangle yan, sir. From Aurora to La Union, and then back again to Metro Manila. the plan now is that at least for these segments where there is a national fiber backbone, we can now use a portion of that fund for free Wi-Fi as capitalization expense. Kasi ready na po yung fiber backbone. So last year, walang ready national fiber backbone, therefore puro po siya subscription. So we will progressively improve our development and deployment of the free Wi-Fi in connection with the national fiber backbone if it is ready po. But if it's not ready, we'll still proceed with subscription. And I would say that by this year, National Expenditure Program 2025, that will still be around 85% of the budget. Subscription pa rin po.
I do agree. No, sometimes, not sometimes, but most of the time, it's impossible for government to scale up. And we have a lot of projects, good projects in mind. We have a lot of innovative projects, but when you start talking about scaling up, it's impossible because of the size and the size of the country and the size of the population. So I do agree that engaging what we have already, for example, the telcos, through a subscription or service-based engagement, I do agree it's the most efficient. No? Rather than putting the actual Wi-Fi nodes in all schools and public places, it will take time. And the maintenance also is another problem. No? Admittedly, sa bahay lang nga, magkakabit tayo ng sariling Wi-Fi, problem na. Just imagine installing in close to 60,000 schools. When I say 60,000, that includes private and public. It's going to be quite challenging, especially on maintenance. So I do agree that in some models, the subscription-based or a service-based engagement is much better, much more cost-effective. My next question is on communications. We also saw in your NEP, the communication expense ballooned to 2.5 billion pesos from 331. So may I know why the sudden surge in your communication ang laki. So from 331 million to 2.5 billion. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Yusek.
So under this account, there are 4 sub-accounts, namely mobile, landline, internet subscription expenses as well, and cable and satellite radio expenses. This is actually part of the free Wi-Fi projects that we have as well, Mr. Chair.
So this is still in connection to the free Wi-Fi project?
Majority of which, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so it's the department subscribing. This is under your communications account. So how is it?
Yeah.
You're paying it as an expense. Ba?
These are actually internet subscription expense.
Of the department.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Bakit biglang lumaki? Why is it?
Mr. Chair, if you'll take note, it is only last year that we were able to significantly increase our utilization for free Wi-Fi. In the prior years, we're not able to, actually before our term, we're not able to use up our budget for the free Wi-Fi. Last year, we were able to hit about 80% of the consolidated budget. 84%.
What you're saying is, aside from subscribing from the telcos, you're also paying for the internet service. Is that how it works?
Come again, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Diba meron kang subscription, that 1.9, that's for the free Wi-Fi.
Yes, that's correct.
You're also paying them internet fees? Is that how it works?
No, iba yung
Ganun ba yun?
Your Honor, because I'm in charge of operations, sila yung sa finance. If I may answer,
Sige, go ahead.
when we bid, so it is my team that writes the terms of reference. It is clear that these are subscriptions. And the subscriptions are not only free Wi-Fi, but they are also the government networks, the IP transport that we use for certain portions of the national fiber backbone. Meron din po kaming Starlinks, which we use for the free Wi-Fi. But I'm just unsure, kaya sir nagko-converse kami with finance, how they tag this as part of the financial report.
Guys, you have to be sure. This is a budget hearing. Humingi kayo ng pera dito.
Yes,
So
Your
you have to be very precise on where these monies will go. No, hindi pwedeng I'm not unsure. Kanina pa naririnig ko yan. This is a budget hearing. You have to come here prepared. You have to be precise. Humingi kayo ng pera.
Mr. Chair, with respect to that's 2 point,
You have to remember, I'm gonna defend this. Pag tinanong ako, I have to also know where these monies will go.
okay. Mr. Chair, this pertains to internet subscriptions.
You are subscribing.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You are the one using the internet.
This is for the free Wi-Fi project as well, Mr.
This
Chair.
is for the free Wi-Fi. Okay.
Yes,
So you are paying communications fee in order to deliver free Wi-Fi.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And I'm trying to understand my subscription na, my communications, but how is this working?
The subscription with respect to communication pertains to the free Wi-Fi projects.
Okay.
That is under the communication expense.
Okay.
The subscription, the orange one, Mr. Chair, the orange one, this pertains to ICT subscription. So there are certain programs, certain like GovMails that we cloud collocation services, Mr. Chair.
Okay. By the DICT.
Yes, Mr.
You're
Chair.
the subscriber. And the communications is for the free Wi-Fi.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Parang kanina, parang naguguluhan ako. Kanina, the subscription is for the free Wi-Fi or both?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. We'd like to correct the statement earlier.
Okay.
So the internet subscription is included in the communication expense.
The internet for the free Wi-Fi. Okay.
Is included in the communication expense, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay. And then does it include the hardware?
It doesn't include the hardware, Mr. Chair.
So it doesn't include the hardware.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So it's the department that buys the hardware, or it's the department that who installs the hardware?
The third party, Mr. Chair, the winner of the bidder.
The telco.
Yes, Mr. Chair, telco.
In this case, who is the telco? The Globe, Smart?
Several and small players as well, Mr. Chair.
Okay, okay. So they will install the Wi-Fi, and then you will pay them through your communication expense, and then our constituents will have access to that. Ganun
That's
siya.
correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so it's not a subscription; it's an expense. I mean, it's a monthly expense. Ganun ba siya?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, okay. And then I also saw the professional fees from 800 million to 1.9 billion. So what are the details of that?
Mr. Chair, majority of which are managed services. Managed services procured by the department.
Managed services. What's ano yung managed services? Give me an example of managed services.
Related to eGov, managed services related to eGov project.
Like, give me 2 examples of managed services related to ego. Just to for everyone to be enlightened. Just cite an example. Sa ano yung mga professional expense?
Agile development help.
Go ahead. You said Josel? David. Dave.
So on some of the managed services, Mr. Chair, is more on the manpower that we're using on the development, Mr. Chair, and also on the implementation nationwide. Example, Mr. Chair, on the ELGU, because since we need to implement this in a nationwide scale, so we need to have more people to implement this, Mr. Chair. We develop the system. It's an in-house develop. But since the ICT we don't have people to implement this, bibiyahe po sa mga implementation sa mga LGU. So that's manpower. And we do that in a managed services contract, Mr. Chair.
You engage professionals to
Yes,
help
Mr.
you
Chair.
deploy all of these
Yes, Mr. Chair.
services, all of these projects. And how come it doubled from 800 to 1.9? what doubled in terms of services and projects?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Technically, it ballooned because of the increase in the budget of the e-government last year, Mr. Chair.
So it's mostly for e-government, this
Yes.
1.9.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And then do you know how many professionals are you engaging for this 1.9 billion? Anyway, submit nyo na lang sa akin. Ha?
We'll submit, Mr. Chair.
Kasi it's medyo ano siya nag-double. So, but I just want to put on record some of the examples that that you will be undertaking this coming 2025. And lastly, on the rent, I also saw that it also ballooned, doubled from 350 million to 775 million in rent. Obviously, you're renting something. Is it an office?
Rental of office, Mr. Chair.
Office though. This is the DICT office. Exclusively for DICT office is 700 million?
Regional offices as well, Mr. Chair.
And regional offices. Okay. And how come it doubled? Did you increase the number of regions? And how come it doubled?
There's an increase, one additional region, Mr. Chair. Next year, actually, we also plan to, and we already submitted with the DBM. We also plan to transfer office, Mr. Chair, because of the condition of the current office right now.
Okay, the DICT office. So
Yes,
the
Mr.
entire DICT office will,
The central office only, Mr.
the
Chair.
central office will move. Where is it right now?
It is in front of UP, Diliman, Mr. Chair.
And you're renting.
We are renting.
Okay. And then the next year you will be transferring.
Hopefully, Mr. Chair, that's our target.
Okay. Do you have any idea where you will be transferring?
Not yet, Mr. Chair, but we receive a lot of quotations already, but it depends on how the procurement goes, who will win the bid.
Okay. And this is, you're now providing for rental expense.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sige. Ganito na lang. Just because for 2025, obviously everything went up, and of course I will leave the decision to management on why these items went up almost double, no? In the entire if you look at the entire items, everything doubled, almost doubled. So just submit to us the details of those items so we will be guided and enlightened. Of course, the decision on why sa inyo na yan, that's management decision. But we want to clarify why communications went up, why subscription went up, professional and rent, and the others as well.
We will submit to you.
And
Mr.
give
Chair.
it to us in detail, because
Yes, Mr. Chair.
we're preparing to defend your budget later on. So we want to make sure that we have fully analyzed the particulars of your budget.
Mr. Chair, if I may also add, with respect to the analysis on the expenses.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Just to add, Mr. Chair, technically for 2024, talagang sobrang baba ng gas namin na na-receive. So, kinaltasan kami, I think about, from around 200, Mr. 200 million, kinaltasan po kami ng 2024. So, but next year kasi napakita naman namin that we were able to use up our budget. So, thank you very much, DBM, for the support, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason for that, no, the reason for the low approval is connected to your low utilization, no, for sure.
We understand, Mr. Chair.
But this 2025, I think they probably recognize the reforms that you have undertaken, and they're confident that you can spend these allocations that will be provided to you. But for the purpose of this budget deliberation, just submit to us the details of this so that we'll be guided later on. No?
We will do, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
On the topic of confidential funds, I didn't see anything in your 2025 budget, but I want to put this on record. Meron bang confidential funds for 2025? So wala nang, just yes, anyone wants to take the mic so that it will be on record?
None, Mr. Chair.
So there's no provision for confidential funds. Okay. All right. I'll go to some specific projects, no, and just to keep us updated. And these are the popular projects that our constituents would want to avail of. Number one is the free Wi-Fi project. I want to be guided. What is the target? How many Wi-Fi points are we envisioning?
Thank you, Your Honor. That's a very good question. As of 2022, there are 125,000 public places. And according to the law that was passed, the Free Public Internet Access Program should cover all public places. So, however, there is a problem with sustaining that number. If we are to roll out by subscription, free Wi-Fi to all 125,000 public places, that would require approximately 58 billion per year. And so we're now studying a more sustainable approach. For example, Your Honor, we're now discussing possible collaboration with telcos for a SIM card ng bayan, where we tell them where to put up new cell sites. The idea is to put the cell sites in developmental areas like GIDAs, and then we subsidize their commercial losses by ensuring that subscription fees for their break-even costs are met. For example, if it's 1,000 SIM cards at 300 peso load per month, then we can offer it para dumami po yung cell site coverage. Because right now we need 60,000 more cell site towers. So what I'm trying to say, Your Honor, is that just to recap, the target is 125,000. The initial target when we first took office in 2022 was to bring free Wi-Fi to 125,000 public places. But now, as we go along, we don't think that that is a sustainable plan because it would require 58 billion pesos per year. And so now we're thinking of other ways to support this. And one of those nga po is right now we're thinking of subsidizing na lang yung pagro-roll out ng commercial towers for 2 years. And then once it becomes commercially sustainable, we encourage them to put more towers in other developmental sites, thereby increasing internet penetration rate in the country. But that also means, Your Honor, that we have to revise the target because I don't think we'll be able to, unless funding will come, I don't think we'll be able to meet the 125,000 public place target.
So the target is 125,000 public places,
That's correct.
of which how many have we already provided free
Right now,
Wi-Fi?
Right now, we've only covered 6,700 public places,
Okay.
or approximately 13,000 access points, kasi one place may have multiple access points.
Okay. And then this 6,000, and based on your calculation, you will need 58 billion a year. So it's a recurring expense.
That's correct.
Why is it? Because of the subscription?
Because of the subscription model.
Okay. So every year you have to allocate 58 billion pesos.
For
Ang laki.
125,000 sites.
Yeah, 425.
Yes, sir.
Ang laki, ah. That's wala.
That's why we're revisiting this program.
Yeah, well, that's I would say close to impossible. No? So, and then the alternative here is just provide SIM cards
That is correct, Your Honor. So the
to students, to the users of around that public place.
we're still ironing out the details, Your Honor.
Okay.
But basically, it's nudging the behavior of the market because the telcos would not put up cell site towers in developmental sites kasi manatalo sila eh. It's not commercially viable. So parang instead of so we're trying to nudge them by telling them maglagay ka ng tower dito tapos ang cost mo sagot na namin for 2 years. For 2 or 3 years. Right now kasi they're negotiating 3 years. Kami naman we're telling them baka 2 years lang yung kaya. So
okay.
so it's basically still free Wi-Fi. It still won't cover 125,000. Pero ang mas maganda ron, Your Honor, is that we're actually improving cell site coverage, which improves internet connectivity in general.
Okay. So let me get this straight. So you will now subsidize the tower construction. And to what degree is the subsidy? 50%, 100%,
Right now,
90%?
in terms of subscriptions, Your Honor,
Okay. So
So
you
if-
will
if they tell us-
you will guarantee X amount of
subscriptions
subscription.
to cover for their loss.
Okay. And with that is that a final arrangement for the free Wi-Fi? Is that already written in stone? And
Not yet, Your Honor, but we are, I would say, on advanced stages of negotiations.
okay, and is that this model, is this reflected in your budget for next year?
Right now, no, Your Honor,
So
because
how is
that was only discussed mid-August of this year, and at that time the budget was already submitted.
Okay, and do you plan to request for an additional augmentation to enable you to roll out that arrangement?
To be honest, Your Honor, this discussion was made in one of the meetings where most of the senior officials are present. It is my understanding that once we finalize the details, we will have to discuss with the Department of Budget and Management with regard to funding. Right now, the figure being floated is around 5 billion pesos
5 billion.
for the first rollout, covering 300 cell site towers.
Okay.
Again, Your Honor, these are all at the negotiation stage, but the DBM is involved in these discussions.
Okay, and this 5 billion covering 300 cell site towers, how many of that will cover the 125,000 public places? How many of that will now, the 300, how many will cover?
Well, it covers ilang barangays? It covers 300 GIDA barangays, Your Honor. But I'll have to, kasi ang isang cell site has a wider coverage than a regular Wi-Fi. We don't have that numbers yet, Your Honor. I'll forward
Sige.
that.
My point there being is, of course, we want to help to roll out the free Wi-Fi program, no? And I also chair the Basic Education Committee, and one of the things that the committee is pushing, and Secretary Angara is also pushing very hard, is education technology, or EdTech for short. And of course, a crucial element of EdTech is internet connectivity. No, so it will go hand in hand with that direction of intensifying education technology. So we're very interested in supporting you with that mechanism. And 5 billion versus 58 billion obviously is a no-brainer. But we also need to look at the bigger picture. Like, for example, that 5 billion, how many of that 125,000 public places, how many of that will be covered? And then do we have a timeline on this model? For example, when do we reach the 125,000 public places? Do we have that timeline already? With 5 billion, for example, in the next 5 years, if we allocate 5 billion, will we hit 100% of that 125,000?
We don't have that figures yet, Your Honor.
Just
But we'll
submit to us. Submit to us, and we're very interested. In fact, if I get that document, and if the centers think that it's a more efficient way of rolling out free Wi-Fi, then we might get support from the other senators to allocate 5 billion. 5 billion relative to the entire budget is not so much, no? But we need to justify that this is a much more efficient way of rolling out free Wi-Fi, the free Wi-Fi program.
We'll do, Your Honor.
Yeah,
But
okay.
let me just add that according to our negotiations, ang target po talaga is public schools and
Yeah, public schools.
Public high schools.
Mas maganda yun kung public schools. Just submit to us a rollout plan, a budget to reach out the 100% of the public schools, then 100% of the 125,000, because 125,000 is for that's under the law, no? That's why that's the kumbaga the hard target because it's in the law. But obviously the first tranche, and I support this, the first tranche should be the public schools, no? That's about 43,000 nationwide, no? So if we can reach that 43,000 right away, and students will have access to connectivity, then that will be the best case. Yeah, just submit to us na lang on the later date. And then I want to ask about and this was touched briefly earlier, the national broadband plan. No, can you give us an update on the national broadband plan? Where are we right now? And again, targets on the national broadband plan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The national fiber backbone which is the main component of the national broadband plan, is approximately 6,000 kilometers. Is it? 6,700 kilometers of fiber optic cable, including submarine cables. Right now, Your Honor, the first part, which is approximately 1,700 kilometers, yung sinasabi naming phase 1 was launched by the President last April. Ongoing po yung phase 2 and 3. If phase 2 and 3, the target is first quarter of 2025, pero na-bid out na po ito, so implementation is ongoing. If we finish phase 2 and 3 by 2025, that means the national fiber backbone already extends from Northern Luzon to South Luzon hanggang Bicol po. Now, the rest will be funded by GAA, and a majority of which by the Philippine Digital Infrastructure Project, which is a $288 million US dollar loan with the World Bank. The once complete, our target is to complete this by 2028. By 2028, hanggang phase 6 po, which will extend the national fiber backbone until Mindanao. However, the National Broadband Program, which was first envisioned in 2014, Your Honor, requires middle miles and last miles. During this term, we are revisiting that program. We are committed to finishing the national fiber backbone because it is important that we have a resiliency plan to ensure that our telecommunications are robust. Yung backbone po. But we are now in talks with the Asian Development Bank regarding the development of middle miles. So middle miles po yung mag-extend sa mga probinsya, sa bawat munisipyo. Because we think that government shouldn't fund this, and it should be funded either by a PPP or by a privatization plan. So just to reiterate, Your Honor, we will complete the national fiber backbone, the 6,700 kilometer fiber backbone by 2028, which will extend from Luzon to Mindanao. But the middle miles and the last miles, we're discussing with the Asian Development Bank how we can put this into play using PPP models.
So just to put, just to enlighten me, this will be until phase 6. Tama? Until
That is
phase
correct,
6.
Your
And phase 6 will cover the entire, once we finish phase 6, it will cover the entire nation.
That is correct. As a
Okay.
fiber backbone po, yung
As a
spine.
fiber backbone. And we're talking about the physical fiber backbone.
That is
diba?
correct.
And that is being implemented by DICT themselves, by the department themselves.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding it's going to be it's being funded by the World Bank to a tune of $288 million.
Partially, Your Honor.
Okay. And where's the other partial?
We have a
from?
program that is included in the GAA. For example, in the 2025 National Expenditure Program, that's approximately 1.5 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tama ba 50-50 yan? 50% will be World Bank, 50% will be GRP.
And no, Your Honor, kasi natapos na po natin yung phase 1, 2, and 3 using exclusively GAA.
Okay.
So I
okay.
think a majority of
Majority
the
will
national
be-
fiber backbone still
Okay.
came from GAA.
So majority will be funded by GRP. Okay. And then how much is the total project to include funding from World Bank and also GAA? In total project.
Your Honor, for the remaining, we only need 7.8 billion or approximately 8 billion for the remaining. Yung po kasing World Bank project, Your Honor, hindi siya exclusively fiber backbone. May mga free Wi-Fi sites din siya sa Mindanao. But just to complete the remaining, the phase 4, 5, and 6, we, approximately 8 billion, 7.8 billion.
But the total in buong project,
I think the total project is at 14 billion.
14 billion.
Yes.
Okay.
But just so we all understand, Your Honor, if we include middle mile and last mile, kaya nga we're rethinking this. So the national fiber backbone is only 14 billion. But if we include middle mile and last mile, which is like the Philippine Republic rolling out its exclusive telco fiber, that's approximately 300 billion, Your
Million.
Honor.
I understand from you that the middle mile and the last mile is still under study whether it will be PPP or government will build that.
I think it is safe to say right now, Your Honor, that we will not, we are not, the Republic will not have the appetite to build the middle mile and the last mile. So
okay.
we'll have to go through PPP
Okay.
or a certain version of a privatization scheme.
All right. This 14 billion includes the World Bank loan.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor, but I would like to reiterate that the World Bank loan is not exclusively for the national fiber backbone.
Okay. But it will fund partly
That's correct.
the national broadband plan. Okay. And right now, phase 1, 2, and 3. The phase 1, 2, took note that here in your presentation that phase 2 and phase 3 will be completed by fourth quarter of this year. Also be
The initial target, Your Honor, was the fourth quarter of this year, but because of some circumstances, our revised target is by the first quarter of 2025. The project is delayed by approximately 2 months.
Okay. And what can we see once phase 1 to 3 are complete?
So, Your Honor, the national fiber backbone will now extend from northern Luzon to the southernmost tip of Bicol. And then we are developing other models such that local government units can connect to this backbone. For example, one of the things that we did was we have the secretary and the governor of Quirino, Governor Daxcua, had a memorandum of agreement where the local government will fund for the middle mile and the last miles, and then we will supply the bandwidth and the point of presence sa kanilang munisipyo so that they can connect to the national fiber backbone. So that's one of the models that I was saying, Your Honor. I think Governor Dax will either take a loan or will also do a PPP on the LGU level so that they can now roll out naman the middle mile and the last mile on their particular province.
Okay.
So it becomes available for all provinces in that area. In this particular case, Luzon po. Magtatap lang po sila.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the benefit of this national broadband plan. So obviously it's a high speed highway and LGUs can connect it for a fee. Tama ba?
Not necessarily a fee, Your Honor, but some form of mutual agreement with regard to
Okay.
its use.
All right. And then government owns this backbone.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And if I'm a local government, what's the benefit for me? For example, for Quirino, what's the benefit for me tapping into this national broadband network as compared to, let's say, going through the normal telcos?
Number one, Your Honor, it's cheaper because it's subsidized by the national government. Not only is it subsidized by the national government, but we can compete in terms of prices with telecommunications companies because we also buy wholesale bandwidth from egress, in this case, California. Lahat naman po ng telco kasi they have to go out somewhere. Second is that there are certain security requirements for certain facilities of government that requires trusted networks. For example, military bases. And we are proud to say that the national fiber backbone can afford to build out telecommunications infrastructure on a trusted capacity. So dalawa po yung benefit. And third, of course, is that may mga areas like Quirino na hindi talaga siya commercially viable. And And the only way we can go there is either, again, going back to the initial discussion, nudge the behavior of the market by subsidy, or temporarily, while the telecommunications companies, the private ones, are not present, tap into the national fiber backbone. Temporarily, Your Honor, kasi with local government muna. Kasi of course, this national fiber backbone cannot supply the entire Filipino population, no? So this leaves, parang pinaprioritize lang muna natin yung critical services that is required of government. So mag-supply tayo to the munisipyo, to the provincial government.
But the national government, for example, you mentioned earlier, D&D, they can use this backbone, for example, to link, let's say, the campsites, to link
There's-
the different
In fact, Your Honor,
operation units outside. They can do that on a very secured
yes, Your Honor.
system.
Yes, Your
Tama.
Honor.
Okay. All right. And by first quarter of 2025, for example, kami in Valenzuela, we can link to that.
Yes,
Our
Your
local government, not kami as in me, but no, but the local government, the local government.
Actually, sir, our point of presence in Metro Manila expands to where? Process? Sa Valenzuela office.
Mm.
Actually, sir, we already have a point of presence in Valenzuela.
Okay, so we can already tap into this.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
We don't have to wait for the first quarter 2020.
Okay. And then already avail of the cheap internet rates. Tama ba? The cost is
That's correct.
The cost will come in the form of cheap internet rates or cheaper internet rates, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Sige. Well, take note of that. I'll tell the mayor to tap into. My other question will be on the National Cybersecurity Plan. No? And this came out during this was a major topic when we were discussing NGCP. I was the chairman of the Energy Committee last Congress, and this topic came out many times during our discussion about NGCP. No, as we all know, NGCP is the national transmission backbone, electric transmission backbone of our country, and it's connected nationwide. No, and there were talks that it can be hacked, it can be penetrated, it can be no, cyber attacks can happen with that transmission backbone. And during that time, we flagged the National Security Council of its national security importance. And I understand that the National Security Council also have their own cyber security experts as well. No, but I took note in the budget in one of your programs that the National Security Plan has already been approved. No, National Cybersecurity Plan 2023-2028, and I congratulate you for getting this National Cybersecurity Plan approved. Now, my question is, what does the National Cybersecurity Plan cover? No? And in simple terms lang, Yusek, no? We don't have to go into the details, but just broad strokes for people to understand that this National Cybersecurity Plan is now in place, and what do we expect, and what can we see as a benefit, for us, no, as constituents of this country.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, with the permission of the Secretary. In specific terms, the National Cybersecurity Plan harmonized government's response. Before the executive order was issued, parang lahat po ng government agencies does cybersecurity, and nobody bothers to even respond to an inquiry of the National Computer Emergency Response Team, which is also under the DICT. There was also much confusion about the role of the National Computer Emergency Response Team, of the CICC, of NBI, of PNP, etc., and NTC and NPC, and all other regulatory bodies. I think at the heart of this National Cybersecurity Plan is the harmonization, and even the international community recognizes that. Kasi, sir, umakyat yung ating GCI score from 77 now at 93, at ang pinakamataas na tinalon, organization. So they saw that the National Cybersecurity Plan was effective in defining who will respond if an emergency happens. And it is clear there that who will respond is the National Computer Emergency Response Team. And the CICC will now support in criminal investigations. So palagi kaming magkakatabi. And then second, Your Honor, it allows for a more proactive approach. Before the National Cybersecurity Plan po kasi, ang paniniwala ng gobyerno is that cybersecurity is compliance, which is mag-submit ka ng form, mag-checklist tayo. It is no longer effective. And it created as a master plan, which the BSP also followed. Now the BSP wants to establish a security operations center of all banks, where they can share information in real time. Nakasulat po sa National Cybersecurity Plan that we wanted to create a National Cybersecurity Operations Center, which we are operating right now, para mag-share tayo ng information. Wala na yung, pag na-attack ako, confidential, bahala na kayo. Kasi ang nangyayari, the attackers actually enjoy that confidentiality. Kasi kung na-attack kita, hindi mo sinabi, I can use the same attack patterns to another. But if we all share the same information using technological controls, then it becomes easier for us to respond as a nation. And that's what the National Cybersecurity Plan. So, pag gumawa si BSP sir ng plano, sinasite nila. Pag gumawa si ERC, si Energy Regulations Commission ng plano, sinasite nila na this is now our response. It has to be proactive. It has to be real-time information sharing. And the establishment of a national and a sectoral security operations center as a real-time exchange of information is essential for a coordinated response. And last but not the least, it amplifies the need for more capacity building. It tells everyone, kailangan nating mag-capacitate, hindi lang yan DICT, hindi lang yan CICC, hindi lang yan DND, but everyone has to contribute to this, including the Civil Service Commission, because right now we lack cybersecurity professionals both in the private and the public sector, but more so in the public sector. We don't even have cybersecurity organizations and plantilla positions in government.
This National Cybersecurity Plan, who does it cover? Which agencies does it cover? All agencies?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So,
It's an executive order asking all the entire executive branch to follow and to adopt that particular plan as
Oh,
a
okay.
master plan.
okay. And will it be the lead agency? Is it going to be DICT for this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then I'll go to very specific examples. No? I mentioned earlier NGCP and the transmission lines. And during the budget, actually this came out during the budget deliberation a few years ago, that NGCP can be switched off remotely. No? So in other words, kung mayroong galit sa atin, papatayin lang nila yung kuryente remotely. No? And because all of this is done in the cyberspace. No? And when we conducted the hearing on that, my take during that time is those, like you said, there's no concerted effort. There's no harmonious effort. Parang what we got is each government agency is doing their own thing in terms of cyber security and protecting critical infrastructure. Now, going into that specific infrastructure, which is probably the most critical in the whole country, which is the transmission line, how is this plan going to protect our transmission lines? How is this plan going to be proactive in terms of determining whether the transmission lines are vulnerable or not? And in simple terms, pwede ba talagang patayin to remotely without us knowing? No? So just educate us on that particular critical infrastructure.
Thank you for that question, Your Honor. I would like to qualify the National Cybersecurity Plan effectively harmonize the response of government. So it's now clear who will respond, how to respond, and what are the response parameters. Unfortunately, this is where the executive order would end because NGCP, in this particular case, is actually a private sector critical infrastructure. And that is why, Your Honor, kasama rin sa National Cybersecurity Plan, and I think naka-table dapat dun sa last LEDA, kaso hindi lang po kami nakahabol sa agenda. We actually created the executive version with all other government agencies in the executive branch of a cybersecurity bill, which will now allow for regulation of critical information infrastructure, including that of NGCP. As a very concrete example, sir, hindi na siya theoretical. Nangyari ito. I think there was a glitch, a computer glitch that affected a massive area na nag-brown out. We called them up. Again, the National Cybersecurity Plan,
It's NGCP.
NGCP.
When did this happen?
I forgot. February ba yun?
Of this year?
Kailan ba?
I don't. Well,
I'll check the
yeah,
incident
yeah.
report, sir.
Okay.
So
Panay Island.
So dahil nakasulat sa NCSP that we will respond, the National Computer Emergency Response Team, we called them. And then they said, "Oh, don't worry. It's not a cybersecurity incident. It's just it's a human error. We apologize," and it reverted back. That's where we stopped kasi we don't have regulatory powers, but we did communicate also to Transco about it. Because wala na kaming compelling power, or we do not have a power to compel them to investigate, to accommodate us in trying to investigate and assist. That's a practical, it really happened. So for that to happen, we need a cybersecurity law where we're proposing like all other countries, a regulatory agency for critical information infrastructure, similar to CISA of the US, similar to CSA of Singapore, similar to NCSA of Thailand, that only handles cybersecurity of critical information infrastructures.
National Cybersecurity Plan is only deals with response, not with audit, yung VPAT, yung vulnerability assessment and
VAPT.
penetration test. It doesn't deal with those type of activities. Meaning, of course, this is in response. So may nangyari na, so we respond, no? And we now know that the DICT is the agency that should respond. But how about preventing cyber attacks from happening, auditing whether those critical infrastructures are vulnerable or not vulnerable? Not only transmission lines, no? We're talking about other things like airports, banking, all of those. So who now is there a plan, and who now audits all of those critical infrastructures to determine whether we are vulnerable or not? No? That's not included in the plan?
Sir, in the absence of a law, we can use the plan, but we'll have to coordinate through the regulator, because it is the regulator who has power over them. For example, in the case of NGCP, Transco is the regulator.
ERC.
Or ERC. So we'll have to guide them to create a cybersecurity policy also, such that NGCP will
Yeah.
follow.
My experience with ERC is they had to get a third party expert, no, on cybersecurity. I think in that, I can't remember who was the contracting professional at that they contracted, but I because it's a very specialized field, no, cybersecurity, and ERC is not designed to handle cybersecurity. They're energy and power experts, no, and admittedly, cybersecurity is a whole new different discipline. So I remember because of this incident, we mandated them, or we compelled them to audit in GCP insofar as cybersecurity is concerned. We even funded. We actually added, I think, 40 million, if I'm not mistaken, for cybersecurity audit, and they contracted a third party to do that. No, but the whole experience, in my opinion, is reactive. No, it's a reaction to an issue that came out here in the Senate, and then they reacted because of that issue. But that should not be the case, because it has to be a continuous effort to audit, to analyze, and to make sure that our critical infrastructures are always protected from cyber attacks. No? And I thought that plan, this national cybersecurity plan, will contain that proactive approach. No? So hindi pa siya ganon. Tama ba, Yusek?
Hindi pa siya, Your Honor, because it's harder to make the private sector comply. I would say that the plan is quite efficient for government kasi it's easier for them to comply. But when we go to private sectors where most critical information infrastructure operators are, they can start questioning it because technically it's just an EO. It cannot it cannot go beyond the current legislation. But that said, Your Honor, in the absence of a law and with that EO, we can work with regulators. It's more work nga lang po kasi we have to go through every regulator so that
Correct,
they
correct.
issue the proper guidance, including the proactive approaches to this. To give you a very good example, Your Honor, we have Project Sonar, which was presented kanina, where we scan government assets of their vulnerabilities. We cannot do that for private sector, Your Honor, because in the cybercrime law, network reconnaissance is considered a crime.
But in our system kasi, especially in the Philippines, we just recently amended the PPP law, meaning everything that can be privatized will be privatized. No? Airports, water distribution, electricity distribution has already been privatized, transmission lines. So these are critical infrastructures. So moving forward, all of these critical infrastructures in our country will be managed by private corporations. And what you're saying to us now, because it's privately managed, government cannot compel them, or we don't have that power to audit them and we don't have that power to audit their capability insofar as cybersecurity is concerned. That's what we are that's where we are right now.
In simple terms,
In simple terms,
yes,
in simple
Your Honor.
terms.
In simple terms.
Hindi nakakatakot 'yun. Like yung nga sinasabi ko, yung ang gera ngayon hindi naman missiles eh. It's a switch na lang, switch off na lang kuryente natin, wala na tayong kuryente from Luzon to Mindanao, no? And that's what we're trying to prevent.
Thank you, Your Honor. And that's why we in the executive branch created the executive version of the cybersecurity bill. We thank Senate and Congress because there are various versions of the Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Bill and Cybersecurity Bill in both houses of in both chambers of Congress. But we do have an executive version. Dinidiscuss na po, nakatable na siya sa LEDAC, and it is being spearheaded from the Office of the Executive Secretary.
So private corporations, we're not going to touch on their commercial aspect. We're just going to
Yes, Your
make
Honor.
sure that they're protected and the country is protected because they're managing the critical infrastructure
Yes,
for
Your Honor.
us.
Yes.
No, so in commercial, whether may kita sila ng malaki, no, that's their own decision. But what we want to assure the country is that we are protected from cybersecurity. And in fact, during the hearing, I remember the president of NGCP admitted that they get attacks, cyber attacks on a regular basis. I can't remember the exact figure right now, but he said it's nothing new, no? But basically a message niya is we're doing our own cybersecurity projects in order to protect NGCP and the country, no? But that's, of course, that's his testimony, no? Sasabihin niya, but we don't know, we don't have any way of making sure that his testimony is validated and verified, no? So walang ganun eh so far, no? Yeah. So but then again, I suggested to NSC right that time, it was headed by General Esperon, is to elevate this as a national security concern, especially for critical infrastructure, and use the power of the president to invoke cybersecurity audits on critical infrastructure, only on critical infrastructure. That's what we suggested to him. No, We didn't get any feedback, but in my opinion, at this point, there's a sense of urgency, no? And the more the world is interconnected, the more we are prone to cyber attacks, and everything now is interconnected. Sabi nga ni Senator Tulfo, artificial intelligence getting very sophisticated, no? And the more we should be wary of this type of vulnerability in our country, no? So my suggestion to the secretary is to think of this as a national security concern and elevate this to the National Security Council in the absence of the law. Of course, the law is, we will push for the law. I'll work with the ICT to push that law because I'm really concerned with cybersecurity and cyber attacks. But in the absence of the law, we should already discuss this at a national security level, no? Because every day that we don't have any audit, every day that we don't have any VPAT tests, we're very vulnerable. And we cannot assure the Filipino people that government's doing its share to protect our critical infrastructure, no? Especially in times of geopolitical uncertainties. We need to assure the public that we are on top of the situation, no? So that's my suggestion. Any response, Yusek, to that?
Yes, Your Honor. Point well taken. We'll discuss this, Your Honor. Actually, we have a National Cybersecurity Interagency Council, which is headed by the Executive Secretary. We've repeatedly discussed this already. But you're right, Your Honor. We have to do concrete steps like perhaps another executive order for critical information infrastructure.
Yeah. Where is the law? Has the law been filed? The cybersecurity?
The bill is not yet filed, Your Honor. It's with the LEDAC, the Legislative Executive.
Oh, I think that should be a priority measure, if you ask me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I thought nga na-file na, but that should be, because that's been a conversation piece for a long time. Yeah, for a while na. Because of the NGCP issue. Alam ni Secretary yan, because of the NGCP. And we're not attacking NGCP, ah. We're not isolating NGCPs. But what we're saying is we are concerned with the cybersecurity aspect of the transmission lines, no? Regardless who is the concessionaire, no? And that's what we are concerned with, no? So, all right. I'll jump to another topic. This is to CICC, and the same. I saw the same trend in terms of budget utilization. We'll flash it on the slide. Slide 29. Although not as severe as the ICT, but the budget utilization of CICC is also quite at the 70s level, no? Have you analyzed why budget utilization is only at the 70s level? My gauge is always at least naman nasa 90s level, no? In terms of budget utilization. So how come obligation rate is only 70% and then disbursement rate is only 54% in 2023? Any comments to that? You said.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As far as the preparation of a budget for 2023, it's actually a budget that was proposed by the previous administration, and it was not very clear to us. We just took over and we were deciphering what was the plan for that. And
I don't take that reason because government should be institutional, meaning whoever sits should operate government to the maximum, no? Or else we will always have problems whenever there's a new administration, no?
That's correct. As far as we're concerned, when we reviewed come January for the implementation of this budget, we saw that the priority projects intended for our programs were not covered by this. So we have to reallocate. We have to ask permission from DBM to reconfigure the budget so that it will be responsive to the current and emerging threats. It was designed not to address at the time. In fact, the components for that uh, were were not properly researched as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying that my predecessors didn't have a concrete plan of what's to be done, but apparently the challenges that we were facing were quite different from what was happening in 2021 and 2022. So we had to ask permission. We didn't. Our budget did not move until after the second quarter because the process for reallocation needed to be studied well, and we need the concurrence of DBM for it. And finally, when we got the approval, we started moving in, but it was already after the second half of the year, after the first half of the year. But at this point, I think how much? Nothing.
51%.
I think that has improved already. Uh, at the end of the year, I think the 2023 budget is already 90% on record.
So
that
in short, the reason for
the delay.
the low budget utilization is because the projects that were turned over to you in 2022 and 2023 are not
Are not aligned.
are not aligned with your priorities,
Are not aligned with the emerging threats
with the emerging threats. Therefore, you did not pursue those projects.
because it does not address the concerns of the period. So we had to take note of the new tools that we need, the expertise that we need. So, and the facilities. In fact, it lacks the facilities intended as stated in the law, what we have to comply with.
But can you cite an example? What do you mean by not aligned? Like for example, give me a project that is you consider not aligned with emerging threats.
The first one is the collaboration center. We didn't have a collaboration center. So we established a national cybercrime hub as to encourage participation, intergovernment, and within the private sector. So we had to find a place where it is conducive and neutral to everyone. That's the first thing that we established. And a response center, there was the absence of a response center. What do you do? Where do people report? Where it was a late project that we had in time for the SIM card registration law that we established the IARC, because there was nowhere the public would go to. It was designed like a small police station when in fact it should be a national body to address certain concerns. And the impact of that, of course, when we started realigning from 50 cases way back in 2021, we now have 15,000 reports that came in. So there was a big response from the public because of this reallocation that we did.
You're saying one of the projects that the projects that you inherited did not contain the collaboration center and response center?
None.
Okay, and then that's why you did not pursue the previous projects.
They were looking at buying computers just to buy computers. We didn't even have the rest. At the time, we inherited a tool that was not even compliant. That's why we decided to overhaul the whole system to come up with tools that are compliant and that would address the needs and responses of the agency.
Okay, and then okay, we'll take note of that. And if the same question, no, when we were looking at your MOE, we'll flash it. Slide 37. We saw substantial increases in professional fees, subscription. Like for example, in professional fees, what are these? Itong professional fees and also the subscription, because it almost doubled.
Okay. As far as professional fees are concerned, to attract the best investigators in cybercrime, to get the necessary skill sets, we had to hire from the private sector. We had to offer better pay, uh, how we say, compensation package to attract them. The initial TO or table of organization did not specify such at the time. So there was no actual field of specialization. And I believe it was the same reason why the former setup of CICC was not responsive. To be exact, on the first day of 2023 alone, if we didn't capitalize on our capability, we would not have been able to respond to the blackout of our airport. We were one of the first responders to ensure that the continuity of visibility in the skies were enhanced by our intervention and our experts. In fact, we had more VSAT engineers than any other unit in the country at the time.
Professional fees are these are external professionals.
They are
If-
mostly COS.
Okay. Even actually in 2024, it's quite substantial, no? Almost close to 100 million. So these are all contract of service.
Contract of
How
service.
come not? Why don't you just hire them?
The OSSP did not specify this. At the time when they were organizing it, I think
It's what-
ill-prepared.
Di ba mas maganda kung if they're organic, they're part of, because these are people who are performing regular activities for you.
That is correct.
So isn't it better to make them organic, to just hire them rather than contract of service?
We have asked the help of DBM for the restructuring of the organization.
Okay.
Specific items that were non-existent, even in the table of civil service. So it goes all the way to the civil service commission to allocate and recognize specialized fields in the cybersecurity because it is non-existent. So while they are non-existent, we have to make do with the available plantilla positions that they have.
Have you made representation? I think DBM is here, no? Dito ba DBM? Have you made representation to DBM?
We've been talking with them for over a year already on how to restructure
Okay.
the office, the agency itself.
Okay. Because my technical experts are very hard to get, and they're very hard to find, and they're very hard to get, and they're very hard to keep. So I would assume that giving them tenure will be the best in terms of capacitating CICC.
That is our direction. Mrs. Chair.
So, anyways, DBM is here, so I'm sure si Ma'am Ilagan is listening.
Yes.
And I would suggest, and I would also network with DBM as to how to improve the capability of CICC.
Yes, Mr.
And then second is the subscription fees also. What are you subscribing?
The best and the most advanced technologies for us because it is non-existent again. That is also the same reason why we are able to respond properly now, because we have the necessary tools that are more I would say responsive to the investigation that we're conducting.
These are hardware or software?
Both
Hardware and software. So you subscribe
We subscribe to very expensive tools.
to their services. I want let you identify, because I know the nature of the security nature of those tools, but these are tools that enable you to respond or to how is itong subscription nito, how are these being used in your daily
Number one,
activities?
you see, we have a lot of law enforcement partners. There are gaps in their investigation, and we concentrated on those gaps, specifically on doing what we call in the intel community a production of significant data to enable them to identify targets or suspects, because it is also non-existent in their systems. So rather than duplicate what they have, we focused, we complemented what they don't have. so that the more we use this, the more we acquire this, the better will be the output of our law enforcement bodies. In fact, we don't have a lot of this, like a malware analysis lab. We don't have that. Right now, we can inspect a chip, donations, whether there's vulnerability or not.
Hmm.
We have a test lab to test computer systems and applications, which is also non-existent.
Okay.
And all of this we have acquired.
Okay, all right. Just submit to us. I don't want to, of course, let you spell out all of the subscription because of the
Nature.
security nature of these items. But just submit to us the details of the professional and subscription accounts, so that will be enlightened. And if ever I will be asked on the details, at least I have the analysis on that.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We'll submit soon.
Another, and I want to be educated, Yusek. To be honest about it, and with all due respect, when this whole of this Pogo, all of this in the past, the Pogo incidents that came out, a lot of this scamming came out, a lot of the financial scamming that happened in our country. My knee-jerk reaction is always to call on the PNP Cybercrime Division. No? And in fact, a lot of our senators also have the same. No? And whenever there's cybercrime that transpired in our country or to some sectors, the first reaction is to call the PNP Cybercrime Division. No? To be honest about it, it's only during this budget hearing that I realized that we also have a CICC that handles cybercrime. So how do you differentiate yourself to the PNP Cybercrime Division? The PNP Cybercrime Division is the go-to division or the go-to agency whenever there's cybercrime involved. So how do you differentiate your responsibility to their responsibility?
Let me give you a brief history of how the country was addressing cybercrimes. I was part of that group that created ACG from the very beginning in the Philippine National Police. Now, CICC was created under Republic Act 10175, 2012, because there were growing concerns of online financial crimes. And there was no law, no expertise, and no agency to handle this. So as part of this, including issues on critical infrastructure, because we were addressing issues of connectivity at the time, attacks on networks. As a result of this, that law was passed to address it. However, CICC was never activated as a center for to monitor all of the cyber attacks. It was only until 2020 that it was recognized that it was important to be activated. So the role specified in the law, the first two alone is one is prevention of cybercrime, and then suppression of cybercrime, and then to create strategies on how to prevent cybercrime, as well as address the issues of data silos. There must be data sharing, of which we have done since we were appointed this position. We don't compete. That's one of the things that I have emphasized with PNP. That's why they work with us. They work with us, the PNP, the NBI. We provide them the technical assistance that they don't have. So we are as like an NSU, a national support unit to them. Not only them, because the Bureau of Immigration, okay, we have several proof of concepts that such collaboration works efficiently. We track down terrorists for them. We track down suspects for kidnapping, drug mules. These are the things, examples that we have accomplished so far in partnership with them. As far as POGO centers are concerned, it started with our detection of proliferation of SIM cards that were transmitting a lot of messages with links. So we studied it carefully. The agency looks at the crime differently. We use science to address it. It's not merely a police operation or police investigation, but we bring in a higher level of understanding of the problem of cybercrime. And with the results of what we do, the partnership with these other agencies has improved. So this is the role that we are doing for everyone. It's not people can file a complaint with us if we can. In fact, we under the IARC we have the account recovery team. You see, overwhelmed ACG and BI are overwhelmed with issues of scamming, libel, and they cannot address everything. So we have to find some automated or certain strategic responses for them. And for those that complaints that go to us, we process it properly and we give it to them for immediate action or for police action for those that need police actions. Because not all cases need police action. It just needs remediation. You have to educate the public how to recover, how to protect themselves. These are things that are overlooked. So we have an educational campaign as well to reduce the number of victims in the country.
For example, if someone has been scammed, cyber scam, they can go to CICC,
Yes.
but they can also go to the police.
Yes, there's no central authority in this right now because the model, even overseas, you don't centralize the expertise, you decentralize. So what we do is that we educate our partners. That's why in our presentation, we have partnerships with government agencies on how to address certain cybersecurity issues rather than all fingers point to ACG or the NBI. It's overwhelming for them. So it is part of this
But I think
strategy.
moving forward, we have to clearly define, Secretary, the boundaries between PNP and CICC, and also I know NBI also has their own
Yes.
cybercrime. Of course, these are law enforcement agencies, meaning they go after criminals and file cases. Can CICC file cases?
We can if we have to. But right now, what we do is that we process the data for them for investigation and allow the law enforcement to put it into their how would you say that form for actual police action for legal action because we are limited only up to the investigation part.
Yeah, because for example, in your budget, you also have a national cybercrime hub,
Yes, that's a collaboration center.
and then you also have is this where you also have an interagency response center?
Yes, that's the difference between that and a call center. A call center only receives complaints. Our center addresses the issues as far as soon as we can. For those that cannot be addressed by simple data recovery or by advisory, it is funneled through the channels with NBI or any other concerned agency, whether it's Bureau of Immigration, DTI. We channel it to them. There's data sharing among
So
us.
different government agencies can request for your services
That's right.
insofar as cybercrime is concerned.
What we were telling them, we must have a single platform for reporting so that we will have better data for policymakers. Because at the rate we're going, people complain everywhere, but there's no central collection of data. So we don't know what is the correct strategy.
Well, from an outsider and a layman, I think moving forward, it's important to delineate the responsibilities, to make sure that there is no duplication of function, and also clear for our constituents where to report. Right now, the de facto agency for cybercrime is PNP, no? That's what we always that's why we call them or we ask for their support or investigation if something happens. But now that I realize that CICC can also do the same, no? So I think moving forward, we should look at how to delineate the function so that there's no overlap and there's also efficiency in work.
That's why, Mr. Chair, the resources, as far as we are concerned, we're maximizing resources of the government by not duplicating what they have.
Mm.
We enhance their capability to ensure that they can perform better. Because especially the PNP, which is the biggest organization that we have to support them. And being a very big organization, sometimes funding and training doesn't trickle down. And we enhance this for them.
Mm.
And we have a very good collaboration with the PNP and the NBI. In fact, the collaboration center has been a hub, a meeting place where we implement zero bureaucracy. Anybody who has a case, come forward and bring it here, and we will resolve it, and we will find the channels on how you can address or how you can resolve your cases. And we have the proof of concept on that the system that we're doing now is very efficient.
Yeah, just that's my I think moving forward, that's my thought on efficiency and something that the department should think about so that there will be no duplication and the responsibilities are very clear between the PNP, CICC, and also NBI and other agencies who are doing cybersecurity or cyber criminal activities or prevention of cyber criminal activities. So moving forward, I suggest that the department think about that. I also saw in your presentation expansion of equity. Can we flash this, Comsec Hazel? This is out of curiosity. I just saw this in your presentation. Why did we target GIDA areas?
Based on the data that we have.
GIDA, these are
GIDA areas.
geographical.
Yes.
Ano ba yun? Geographical isolated and disadvantaged areas. Normally, pag pinupuntahan ko ito yung mga katutubo eh. No?
Yes.
So I'm just curious, what cybercrime do our katutubos experience? I'm just curious, no? Kasi mga katutubo natin, I would assume, cellphone nga, hindi masyadong nagagamit doon. But curious lang ako na we put 10 million pesos to engage GIDA areas.
Okay. Based on the cybercrime studies, we do post-analysis of cybercrimes. And we discovered that a lot of the victims come from the countryside. These are from the rural centers, not from urban. So if we can educate our brothers and sisters in the rural centers, we can reduce the number of victimization. In fact, we can educate them before they are exposed to unnecessary grooming by the syndicates, whether it's an OSAIC issue, financial fraud. You see, even those who were recruited to do the pogo centers, some of them came from from the province, who were offered good jobs in the metropolis. So by educating them, we can prevent the number of victimization. And that is another way of reaching out for those areas that are less privileged to understand what is a cybercrime. So it allows us to engage our kababayans actually it's the rural center, no? That we have reached out. That's why we go to islands, we go to mountains to ensure that there is government presence and educating them.
So you found out that a lot of the victims come from remote and rural areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sounds like it's logical. No? But I just out of curiosity, I saw that in your presentation. So thank you for the answers. I'll jump to another topic for NTC, and I think we've discussed this in a few of our hearings, and this is in relation to the SIM card registration, Chairman. Nakaka-register pa ba yung mga unggoy? Tsaka mga gorila, mga buhaya? No? Yung buhaya na buhaya, hindi buhaya na no, feeling buhaya. No?
Mr. Chair, currently wala na po.
So
Hindi
what
na po.
reforms? Because this is, to be honest about it, this is a loophole. Alam naman natin yan. That has been exploited by criminals, and lately, we all know Pogos, no? And meron akong picture na ipapakita. In the raids of PAOK, let me just flash it. They discovered thousands of SIM cards. Yan. No? Yung Pogo Hub, ito yung sa Bamban eh. No? Cell phones, this is a scam farm. And apparently, based on our information, all of those cell phones have SIM cards in it. Can we go to the next slide? Meron pa ba? There, yan. No, you see thousands and thousands of SIM cards and cell phones being used to scam people. And the culprit is obviously the easy access to SIM card, despite our SIM card registration law. And there's so much disappointment now among our constituents regarding the SIM card registration law. In fact, I'm one of those who really fought hard. I remember when I was a congressman, there was a lot of pushback on this law, but we managed to approve this. But now the implementation is far from wanting. So, what reforms have we undertaken to prevent yung mga fraudulent registration of SIM cards, to prevent criminals buying thousands and thousands of SIM cards, and to really implement the true spirit of the law, which is to only allow legitimate people who have good intentions to purchase SIM cards. No? And I believe that the law is already adequate. It's now in the implementation that is the problem. So what have we undertaken to make sure that the telcos really enforce and implement the SIM card law to its spirit? And alam naman natin yung mga telcos, if they can, kung pwede sila magbenta sa unggoy, bebentahan talaga nila yan eh. No? Kasi that's sales for them. No? So what have we undertaken to stop this fraudulent registration?
Mr. Chair, first as to the unggoy issue po, the NTC issued verification guidelines which provided for more verification mechanism that the telcos shall put up in their network para po hindi na mangyari yung katulad po nung na-report sa Senate hearing din, sir. So part of that is, number one, dapat po yung system nila would be able to compare submitted data with the information and with the submitted ID. Number two, that they should adopt best available technologies dun po sa facial liveliness, live selfie, optical character recognition, facial recognition, and matching. So dapat po nagmamatch yung ID dun sa live selfie, and then hindi na rin po pwedeng mag-upload ng stock photo sa phone. So with that, the recent report of the telcos, Mr. Chair, informs us that they have set up this mechanism in place. Yun nga lang po, meron pa ring glitch once in a while, but they commit to improve the network for us, specifically by putting up more firewalls. They will also use AI. They will use AI po to check the ID submitted with the facial liveliness and all those things. Sir, Mr. Chair, as regards the selling of SIM cards, we met with the telcos and with their dealers po, yung major dealers nila about this incidents, and we informed them that you have to educate your resellers hanggang sa pababa na that kasi po may mga reports po sir that the sellers themselves, yung sa baba po sa grassroots, they are offering to register the SIM using their identification for a fee. Yung things na po kasi yun sir, hindi na, I don't think the telcos have ano na po on that, because parang ano na siya dumidiskarte na yung seller for income. Yun ang po ang nangyari, because ang ano po siguro sir, hindi nila alam that if you use your identification and then that SIM ay ginamit for fraudulent or to scam people, ikaw po ang liable as the one registered sa registry. So we met with them and we asked them for their help also na ma-disseminate yung information as to the penalties involved in case hindi mo na-register ng tama yung SIM. Currently po, our original offices are also conducting test buys. And then may mga regions pa rin po, pero pa isa-isa sir, that they offer to register the SIM using the identity of the seller. Pero meron namang pong iba that they know that it's really prohibited to register the SIM under your name na gagamitin po ng ibang user. Currently, sir, at Mr. Chair, there's an active case Region 5, which with the help of the PNP, Region 5, they are coordinating with us. A seller po, nag-test buy po sila, hindi ko lang po maalala how many SIMs. Yun nga, pre-registered, sir, sa name niya po, na-register niya, na binibenta niya. Ang ano kasi nila is for sales. I'm not, baka hindi lang po nila alam ang consequence in case ginamit nga po sa fraudulent purposes yung SIM na yun. So that there's an active case on that, sir, sa Region 5. And in coordination with PNP, we are still may mga investigation for that the PNP is tapping our help on that, because for the Region 5 case, we are the complainant po na pending po siya sa RTC. And what else? Mr. Chair, with your permission, Deputy John Salvahan will add.
Yeah, go ahead, Deputy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Insofar as the implementation of the SIM registration law, as mentioned by Commissioner Ella Lopez, we've issued a memorandum order. And since then, all of the features that we have asked the telcos to implement, they have reported to implement already. However, we also see a shift in the modus of these scammers, wherein they transfer to over-the-top platforms or they use prohibited devices in sending these scam or spam messages. Like for example, they use text blasters or those what we call IMSI catchers, wherein for IMSI catchers, the texts doesn't pass through the network of the telco, so they are not able to detect or block these types of messages. But insofar as those messages that pass through the networks of the telco, if they use, for example, a text blaster machine, the telcos have upgraded their firewall, and so they have reported having blocked SMS up to more than 2 billion SMSs just for this year. Those SMSs are presumably contain or intended to scam or to commit fraud against our constituents. Insofar as other mechanisms, as mentioned, they are also implementing the artificial intelligence to detect any discrepancy between the ID submitted and the photo live selfie photo submitted by the subscriber, Mr. Chair.
Question. There are two things. Number one is using fraudulent identification, or there's no identification whatsoever. Have we addressed that? That's the case of yung Unggoy, where they use fraudulent identification. Have we addressed that?
Mr. Chair, yes, with when they put in place those verification mechanism po.
And NTC has verified that whether the telcos are indeed using those technologies, are doing some verification process to make sure that those people registering are using legitimate IDs?
Sir, based on our own test, sir, yes. But
So-
understand, sir, Mr. Chair, NPC has correct, sir, and live selfie.
Do you, and do you want to comment?
Reported something about of one telco. I will not mention.
Actually, Mr. Chair, Senator Win, we conducted a simulation of the registration for the three telcos last, I think it's July of 2024, and we submitted the report to the telcos and to the NTC because NTC is the regulator of the telcos. We conducted the simulation because we want to protect the identity of our data subjects. So based on our simulation test, Smart passed. They have a live selfie verification because we're the one who pushed for the live selfie verification in the NTC memorandum circular. So we test that one if it's really in place. And then Dito, although they don't have a live selfie, but their system is very sophisticated in such a way that you won't be allowed to register because we use the picture. It's a person. It's Congressman Richard Gomez, a still picture of Congressman Richard Gomez, but we used an ID of an NPC employee. So with Smart Automatic, it won't process. Dito, it process, but it won't activate. But with Globe, we passed. And then for, I think, quite some time, the SIM is active. But based on Globe's response to NPC that they cut it after they detected that there's no matching between the picture and the ID.
Well, it's to NTC, if Smart can do it, obviously the other telcos should also do the same. Diba? I mean whatever whatever technology Smart is doing, just adopt it na lang. Just the telco should adopt that technology because what we're trying to prevent is again no fraudulent identification being used to purchase SIM cards, and it's skirting the law. It's circumventing the law. So higpitan pa natin because again no lalabas at lalabas to, and we don't want this to happen again, no. Higpitan pa natin with the other telcos.
Yes, Mr. Chair. In fact, we instituted an administrative case against Globe for them to explain what happened with the simulation test of NPC and also with some of our independent test also. So the case is ongoing with us, and we have a settings on by October 15, Mr. Chair.
Sige, just give us an update on that case because we want the regulator to really regulate, no, to really crack the whip if they are not following the law and they're not following your rules. That's the only way we can instill discipline, or else they'll just, syempre benta rin yan sa kanila eh. Benta rin yan. It's a SIM card sold is revenue for them. No? So let's crack the whip. Importante yan eh. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yusek, Dave, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, we also conducted our secretary actually instructed us to form an audit team as a task force to revalidate the authentication system of the telco. And we also conducted our own, Mr. Chair, and we figured out that liveness check is not enough because someone can just do the liveness but hindi naman malalaman kung siya ngayon. So it's not an identity actual verification. Meaning, example, if I'll be pretending to be someone else, I can just use my own face. Yes, alam niyang hindi unggoy or alam niyang hindi cartoon character, but there's no actual validation kung siya ngayon talaga. So imagine if I will be using someone's name, example, and then I will use my face, and then I'll use a fake ID with that ID of that person. Wala po siyang idea kung siya nga yon. So that's why we we conducted several meetings also together with our partner. We discussed this to NTC and to conduct a technical working group to be assisting the telco to use also our national IDE Verify, Mr. Chair. So the beauty of the national IDE Verify is they cannot pretend anymore to be someone else. So this will amplify the liveness check. So liveness check can actually identify kung onggoy or hindi, or tao talaga or hindi. But the most important thing of the SIM registration is to make sure na siya nga yun, yung nag-register. That is the finality of to fortify our SIM registration process, Mr. Chair. So with the help of NTC, we'll be conducting a series of meetings with the telco to introduce already the national IDE Verify that we launched together with PSA. Currently, we have 84 million digital national IDs already, Mr. Chair. So this will really fortify the security of the telcos. Another one, Mr. Chair, is to introduce also the eGov AI that we're able to implement also. And not only the liveness check, but since this eGov AI is already linked to the national ID, meaning they can compare now na siya nga yun talaga. So sa two technology, Mr. Chair, that we're able to provide to the telcos for them to revalidate. And lastly, Mr. Chair, is to clean their data. So we will be somehow recommending, Mr. Chair, that kasi hindi na alam kung ilan na po yung Juan de la Cruz na na-register, ilan na po ang nakalipas na unggoy ang na-register, na-approve na, at hindi na alam kung siya nga pa rin yung may-ari talaga ng SIM card na yon. Kasi baka binenta yung phone, kasama yung ano. That's why the revalidation or re-verification can be also happen using the e-verify platform, Mr. Chair. So we will be introducing this in our next technical working group meeting together with NPC and NTC, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next item with the SIM card registration to NTC is also those legitimate people who register SIM cards and then sell pre-registered SIM cards. Yung mga sinabi niyong reseller. We've heard about that as well, and we see it in Facebook, we see it in other platforms that they sell pre-registered SIM cards, no? So, and right now there's no limit, diba? As to how many can you register. You can register 100 in your name and sell it. So, but the problem there is selling it. Okay yun if you register it to your name and then you use it, but you register it to your name and you sell it. That is illegal. So what are we doing to that type of modus?
Sir, Mr. Chair, we coordinate with law enforcement, especially in tracking and monitoring the activities. In particular, sir, what happened in Region 5, which tinatrack po ng PNP, and then they our help on that. So we filed a case against this person, NTC as a complainant, because that person was selling registered SIM under her name. So currently the person is out of naka-bail lang po siya, but the case is still will proceed po. We will update po, Mr. Chair, kung ano pong nangyari sa case na yun. I think po it's important that these resellers would know that there's a penalty po if you do this. Kasi po baka this time they're just saying, magbenta lang naman ako, wala namang penalty. So sir, if meron pong mapipinalize and there's a real case because may kulong po na involved do bukod sa monetary penalty, then it will parang magsiserve po as a lesson to them that you don't do this. Parang ganun po. We are hoping po that this case in Region 5, the current case, and I understand, sir, there will be another one also in Region 5, which parang syndicate, parang syndicate na po sila, sir, that yun na nga po, binibenta po. So
Sindikato yan. I'm sure sindikato yan because there's really demand for nga for pre-registered SIM card. There's demand also for pre-registered bank accounts, no? Yung mga money mules, no? So there's really demand for that, no? Especially from money launderers, from criminal syndicates. So the best way is really to enforce. There's no other way but to enforce. No, so my suggestion to NTC is to really be more proactive and aggressive. We'll support you. Dito sa Senate, talagang we pushed very hard to get that SIM card registration law approved. And we support we will support NTC in its aggressive move to implement the law. And kailangan talaga mag-penalize. If we don't penalize, nothing will happen. I'll jump to another topic here, no? And I saw this because it's binuksan ni Sen.Raffy yung election. During election, uso yung mga text blasters. And we saw in some shopping platform, there's mga rampant selling of text blasters sa mga online shopping platforms. Have you looked at this? This type of equipment being sold in openly in platforms?
Mr. Chair, may I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think as early as 2019 or 2020, the NTC initiated an administrative case against Lazada for selling this prohibited radio equipment in their platforms. So the outcome of that case is that we penalized Lazada, I think for around to 200,000 pesos. However, since there's really no enabling law which says that Lazada is under the jurisdiction of NTC, Lazada keeps on ignoring the demand of NTC to pay. But on a lighter note, Mr. Chair, with the passage of the Internet Transactions Act, we had the meeting with the Department of Trade and Industry. Under the Internet Transactions Act, digital platforms such as online selling platforms are given under the jurisdiction of the DTI. And so we are currently discussing a mechanism wherein these prohibited radio equipment which are being sold in their platforms, as soon as they are reported to the NTC, we will be coordinating with the DTI so that DTI will then order these digital platforms to take them away from their site. If these digital platforms will not follow the removal of these prohibited items, then DTI will revert back to the NTC for the possible, and hopefully we don't reach that point, Mr. Chair, for the blocking of the entire web host platform.
So the mechanism now is because of the Internet Transaction Act is to go through DTI, correct?
That's correct.
And
Mr.
you would be the complainant. Tama ba? How does that work?
Private citizens could also be the complainant or the telcos themselves. Sometimes, Mr. Chair, there are telcos which report to us that these items, prohibited items, are being sold in these platforms. And so as soon as they report it to us, we will transmit them to DTI for the DTI to inform the
Have you
digital
tested
platforms.
this arrangement with DTI? Kasi
Not-
obvious to be honest about it, my staff just got this very recently, I think a few days ago. So text blasters are openly being sold in I think this is Shopee. Platinum member pa naman ako ng Shopee, no? Pero but I think it's being sold there. So have you tested that arrangement with DTI?
Not yet, Mr. Chair, but based on our discussions with DTI, we are going to implement that mechanism within this month, so
Okay.
that there will be somehow an event or activity wherein the DTI and the NTC will will announce it to the public
Alright.
insofar as that mechanism is
Thank you.
concerned.
All right, thank you for that. My suggestion to NTC is to really flex your muscles, no, to really be more proactive and crack the whip. You're the regulator. Sa inyo kami umaasa sa mga violations ng telcos, violations nitong mga nagbebenta ng ganito. So we really we don't have anywhere to go but to NTC in terms of regulation and cracking the whip if someone violates the law. No? So my suggestion is to be very proactive and talagang flex your muscles. No, you're equipped naman under the law, and if you need any more review of the law, for example, as technology evolves. I know that as technology evolves, as platforms change, we're very open in amending the law so that we can keep up with the times. No? So thank you very much. I don't have any question on your budget because obviously the budget utilization is very high, so which is a very important measure in the discussion. With NPC, I have a few items here. I read there's a report that from 2018 to 2023, there are 6.8 million security incidents. Is that correct? 6.85 million security incidents
If
reported to NTC from 2018 to 2023.
security incidents, Your Honor, it might involve glitch, which is there's no personal information involved. What we really count, they are not required to report to NTC if it's just security glitch. What they have to report if it involves personal information or sensitive personal information, if there's a data breach.
Okay. This is actually a mixed bag of breaches. No, malicious attacks include hacking, theft, malware. But the what's concerning here is based on the data in January to August, I will flash it. No, January to August 2024, 40% came from government agencies. I think this report came from you, no? And last year, 2023, 31% came from government agencies. Now, my question is, I know this is a mixed bag of violations, but how many of these reports are data breaches? And considering that 40%, almost half, come from government. So in other words, it's government that is being targeted with these data breaches.
To be very candid and straightforward about it, yes, governments are really target because most of the breaches now are malicious attacks. So we need to update for government offices. We really need to update our firewalls, our antivirus, our security walls, our cybersecurity. We need to have the proper physical, technical, and organizational security measures. We make sure that it's all in place, sir.
Do you have any audit? Because it's quite concerning. In 2023, 1/3. In 2024, almost half. No? Do you have any audit on whether these government agencies are equipped to protect themselves from security breaches, especially those ones gathering data? And we all know that government, no, the part of the responsibility of government or part of the main activity of government is to gather data. No? Nagsasubmit tayo ng ID, sasubmit tayo identification, even school records. For example, when you enroll in our public schools, enroll in our state universities, we give data. No? But what we're seeing is 40% now of our government agencies are susceptible to data breaches. No? So do you have any activity to audit these government agencies and also recommend to them what to do?
We do conduct, Senator Win, compliance check every now and then, but due to the very limited manpower of the National Privacy Commission, we can only do so much. We cannot cover the whole Philippines in visiting them every now and then. We might be visiting one government agency today, but we will be able to visit them maybe in 3 years, in 4 years, because we also regulate private sectors. We also visit private sectors with the 250, almost 250 manpower of NPC. We cannot do the compliance check in every office, in every branch. But in the government sector, it's not only malicious attack, but sometimes also government employees made human errors in, like, for example, in just sending emails instead of BCC, you put it in CC. So the email addresses are already exposed. So that is considered a breach.
But under the law, put it simply, if you're an organization, especially government, if you are collecting data, don't you have to follow certain standards in order to protect the data that you are collecting? And don't you have to assign a person to make sure that the data being collected is protected? Under the law, that's part of the proactive measures, diba?
Yes, Your Honor. Before we do it manually, the registration of the data protection officer and the data processing systems, because under the law, twin siya. It's data protection officer assigning a particular person in an organization to be a data protection officer, and at the same time, you give NPC a background on what data processing systems do you have, so that in case of breach, we know how to address it. Now, before it's manually filed, but in 2023, we convert it into we digitalize it. So in 2023, we started to accept only applications for data protection officers, and at the same time data processing system through our NPC registration system, which is online. That's why we were able to have, right now, currently there are 10,000 plus companies and agencies in the government registered in the NPCRS.
Purely voluntary if you register with NPC.
With government, it's not. It's under the law, sir, that all
Okay.
government officers. In our IRR, we made it mandatory, sir.
Okay, then how many, for example, LGUs? Sabi kanina ni Secretary, I saw in his slide, 1,600 LGUs. Those LGUs, they collect, diba? They
Yes.
collect everything.
Yes.
No, from real property taxes to business to even yung mga buntis, even yung mga senior citizens. They collect everything. But are LGUs compliant with data privacy mechanisms?
We are very happy to report, Senator Win, that last September 12, 2024, DILG issued a memorandum circular, not just requesting LGU, but requiring all LGUs from provinces to city and municipal mayors to register with the NPC. And there's a penal provisions as well in that memorandum circular. This comes after years of constant follow-ups with the ILG. So at last, we had their paano ba dito? Support in the registration. And currently, for the government, we have around 800 registrations for government alone.
So local governments are mandated now. National governments are also mandated.
Yes. In fact, we sent around 1,000 plus letters I think last May or April, to all government agencies, including regional offices and including our embassies abroad.
Okay, and so theoretically, that 40% should go down over time. Because the 40%,
Yes.
theoretically, government now is compliant with data privacy mechanisms. So theoretically, that 40% should go down over time.
It depends if they also have the proper security measures.
Yeah, but kayo yung, diba, you're the ones who will mandate them or mandate them to comply, diba?
No, sir. We only say that you need to comply, but we do not say that this is the technology that you will use. Still, the agency has to choose, as long as you make sure that the data you collect are protected.
Okay. Yeah, but you will now, don't you also, aside from monitor, diba, you monitor the compliance.
Yes.
But don't you also assure or make sure that they are complying? Don't you have that mandate to, for example, an LGU, don't you have that mandate to tell them you should comply?
Yes.
Meron, diba?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
Secretary.
Or else they can be
We
penalized.
we have
You can file cases against them, diba?
We have administrative
commission.
fines. We have administrative fines,
Correct.
but the administrative fines, Senator Win, it's an NPC memorandum circular. It's not written in the Data Privacy Act of 2012. It's just a memorandum circular issued by the NPC.
Now, my point of the matter there is NPC should, aside from monitoring compliance, but really assuring compliance.
Yeah,
That's especially with local government. Kasi, especially with government because
yes.
nagulat ako that majority of the breaches come from government themselves.
Yes.
But we collect data all the time on a daily basis. That's a
Yes.
regular activity.
Because for government, for national government agencies, it depends on for example, the department, whether they want to have a centralized DPO or
But that should not depend on the department. It should be mandated on them that you collect data. You should.
Of course, Senator Win. But as to the decentralization of the data, because, for example, DSWD, for each region they collect. So if they will assign only one DPO and the DPO is in the central office, he or she doesn't know what are the datas in region 4, for example. So like for the DSWD, they decentralized the DPO. So they have around how many regions? 18, 19. 19 DPOs plus one in the central office. And sometimes government agencies, they assign one DPO for a particular project if the project is really big.
Ang DSWD ba may DPO?
Yes po.
Okay. Ang Valenzuela's LGU may DPO ba?
Valenzuela,
Hindi ko alam
Meron
Hindi
daw.
ko alam kung meron o
Meron daw
wala.
po.
But no, my point there is itong government breaches in slide, it should go down because nakakahiya naman na
Yes po.
we're forcing private sector to comply with our data privacy laws, but we government we're not complying. That's the point. And since now we have a commission, it's a commission
Yes.
with quasi-judicial powers, with rule-making powers. You can actually compel the local government, the government, the entire government institution to follow.
Yes po.
Yeah, that's the point that I'm trying to make. Because it doesn't send a good signal or it doesn't bring out the confidence that we want if government themselves are the sources of the breaches that we are seeing.
Yes po.
Yeah, so that's the point I'm trying to make, and just submit to us a report. I just want to focus on government. No,
Yes.
just submit to us a report on the compliance of local government units, national government on data privacy mechanisms, also complying with the law. No?
Yes, Senator.
And if you have any suggestion on strengthening your powers or others, let us know. Let us know because data privacy is such an important matter right now, especially in digitalization.
Yes.
That goes hand in hand. No?
Agree.
Digitalization, data privacy, it goes hand in hand. In fact, the new gold is data.
Yes.
Diba? No, so, but if government themselves cannot protect that gold, that data, then we're sending the wrong signals. All right.
Yes, Senator.
All right. I don't have any questions on your budget. Again, the budget utilization is very high, and congratulations to that. So, but we just want to make sure that the violations of data protection and data leaks don't come from government. And we have an example with that PhilHealth incident, no, which is quite concerning. Imagine PhilHealth, which is a government agency, is the source of a data leak. No, so it's not it doesn't send a good signal to our constituents.
Yes, Senator. In fact, we will release the decision of the Commission and Bank, sir, on the PhilHealth case because we conducted a sua sponte
Okay.
investigation.
All right, just send us a copy of the decision.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Any secretary? Any more last words before we terminate the budget hearing? Okay, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Win. Actually, well, on behalf of the DICT and all the attached agencies, we'd just like to express our deepest thanks to Senator Win Gatchalian for stewarding our budget for this year. And we do hope that under your guidance, we will easily pass the plenary presentation of our budget. With that, thank you very much again, Senator Win.
Just take note of the request that we discussed about this afternoon. Just submit it to our office, to our committee secretary. I know Senator Tulfo also requested some information, so please provide the committee those information. So the budgets of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center, National Privacy Commission, the National Telecommunications Commission are now deemed submitted for plenary's consideration, subject to the discussion and the submission of documents requested by the senators. So maraming salamat po. Thank you very much. This budget briefing is hereby suspended.